Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. We're keeping our eye on XRP, but this is the Bank of America earnings. We cover many earnings calls, up to 4 a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, and we are covering the earnings of Bank of America today. It's been a beat, but why we're most excited about Bank of America earnings today is will there be any mention at all of XRP on the call? Well, we could wait till some nefarious YouTuber says there is later on and exaggerates it, or we could listen in to the earnings calls as we do all the time, up to 4 a day. Now we're coming to earnings season. So the call is 20 minutes away. It will be live. It will be the official earnings call brought to you. We're going to keep our eye on XRP. We're keeping an eye on my overall portfolio, the overall balance, which has dropped slightly. The market has just sold off into the Bank of America earnings call, but they have actually beaten on earnings. It's been a nice beat, actually, but it's all about guidance and where we go from here. And will there be a pop for XRP if there is a mention of XRP during the call? Well, there most certainly would be a huge push if it was mentioned. We don't know. People are alluding to it. It looks like there is patents involved, patents, whether you're US, English, but all will be revealed shortly. The best way to know about anything as a real investor is listen to the CEO on an earnings call. So we are paying close attention to that. So if you've just tuned in, hello.
Sticks and Stones has become a member.
We have royalty. We have a gold membership in the channel right now. We have a gold membership that gives you priority of everything. You go to the top of the list for everything, and you can also go on the homepage of the channel. You can also have 1 hour a month one-on-one call with me as well. So let me just celebrate that. That is a huge moment. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate that a lot. A special member. There you go. Fantastic. A gold member. These are rare. There's about 15 gold members. So thank you very much indeed for your wonderful gold support of the channel. Royalty on the channel. You'll always be royalty on the channel now. And thank you very much indeed for that. Very, very kind of you. If you ever want the one-on-one, just let me know in the chat and we'll set it up. So we've got a few minutes to go. What we're going to do, there's two things we're going to do. We're preparing for the earnings. We've got 20 minutes before it starts. If everybody wants to tap the like button, wow, I'm not even mentioning it now. We're at 102. So that's absolutely awesome. Tap the like button and click subscribe and ring the bell. We just went through 60,000 subscribers very, very quickly. As I said, once it goes through and the trolls lose power, I told you, it just accelerates. Look at that. It's absolutely bonkers. Anyway, so a wonderful to see that. Thank you. Now then, what we're going to do in the next few minutes, we're going to open up the call and the phone line, and you can all be on the show. So you have 20 minutes before the call starts to have your say. Members can call in, you can be on the show, you can be live with me on the show. And remember, we can spin the wheel at any moment and give away $100 worth of XRP. One of our sponsors can say, we're giving away $100 in XRP today, and we'll give it away live on the show. That can happen at any moment. If you're on the call when we do spin the wheel, you can win $100. We do it all the time. Anyone can enter. It's free to enter. It's not for members. It's for anybody. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just about to open the phone line up. And just before we open up the phone line, we are going to set up an event for tomorrow night, 4 p.m. on the music channel, the party channel. What we want to do is now we've brought XRP to the world via Bank of America institutions and made it a lot more grown up, if you like. We're now going to bring it to a music audience on my music channel, and that'll get it even more publicity. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set up a event on my music channel right now. I'm going to create a special XRP party and invite everyone to it tomorrow night so we can have beers, celebrate all our gains and what a wonderful time that we've all had. And also, it's a great way to promote XRP. Now, it's a free concert. There's no ad revenue. I turn it all off. I just have beer, drink, party, do your requests, and all the rest of it. So if you want to join us for that tomorrow night, I'm literally going to create it right now. So let me do that right now. Take me a couple of seconds. Okay. Create a live, and then we'll open up the phone lines. And we got 18 minutes to go before the event starts. So don't worry, plenty of time. Create new. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to use this. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so XRP Ripple Party. I'm going to call it that. Also known as Martyn Lucas World Piano Man. All right. Okay, this is an exciting night. We're going to really do something amazing. I'm excited about this. Okay. All right, let me just grab that. I'm creating it as we do it. Just take me a few minutes. I'm doing it live on the show as we prepare for the earnings. Okay, here we go. Right, let's scroll down. That'll do for there. The thumbnail isn't going to be quite right. I'm just going to put something out, all right? It's just, I just need something for now. I'll change it later. I just need something. What should I have? Wants to be XRP party, but I'll just use that. I'll just use that for the minute. I will update this, but this at least I'll have something. Okay, this will be just the way I put it out now. I will change it, but I'll just put something so we have something to show you, so we can really do something great. So it's not perfect, but at least it's something, okay? Just so I can give to you, and we can do it. There's no ad revenue. There's no ads, nothing like that. We've got 15 minutes to go. Those. Yep, turn the ads off. We don't want that. Okay. Subscribers, yeah. Yeah. January the 17th. January the 17th at 4 p.m. Central Time. There it is, straight after the close. Tomorrow night. Okay, that's done. Just give it a couple of seconds. Pow! Hey, how you doing, mate? You can call in now if you want. I was asking you if you wanted to call in earlier, and I missed you. But you can call in now. We're going to open the phone line up in the next couple of minutes, just going up to the earnings. So there'll be 15 minutes of people calling in before the call starts. All right, now then, I've done all of that. Okay, it's all set. I think we're all set. So now I need to come out of there, come into there. This is going to be a very exciting time. We now bring XRP to a whole new audience. Okay, a musical audience, a party audience. That makes it mainstream now. Switch account back to Martyn Lucas Investor. Okay, cool. And now this live show that we've got right now will automatically go there. Let me redirect to there. Hasn't even started yet, but when it does finish, it will go straight to there. Right, there you go. That's now done. Okay, now I'm going to give you... let me remove that, unpin that. So here is the event for tomorrow. Bank of America is waiting in the wings. It's 12 minutes to go. This is how we bring you the call. Here.
Anthony Ding has become a member.
Thank you very much, Anthony. This is the call. I'll be bringing you the audio and the visuals and everything. I apologize for the white flare. That's just the way that they're presenting it. All right, so here we go. Now then, I'm going to give you the link now. And then I'm going to let everyone call in. So stand by to call in. All right, so let's have a look. XRP party. Promote to the world. Okay. 4 p.m. Central Time, Friday. There you go. I can't spell Friday. What's wrong with me? Okay. Right. There it is. There is the event. I'll pin it to the top. Okay. There you go. There is there. If you are a silver member or gold member and you want to go on the homepage of the channel, just let me know and I will upgrade you. So there's the XRP promote XRP party promote to the world. I will change the thumbnail. This isn't the right thumbnail, but it will do for now. We're going to be here 4 p.m. tomorrow night. Central Time. Your time zone will be displayed here. This thumbnail will change. It's just to give you something to go to. If you go there now and click reminder and click the like button, I will do your live request tomorrow night with beer and whiskey in hand. We'll celebrate all the gains we've made for XRP, and Ripple will go mainstream on a pop music channel. So this is a great opportunity for everybody. I make no money from it. There's no ads. I just have a party with you, drink beer, celebrate. It's broadcast in 4K, big surround sound, big surround TV. You'll have a great night. We'll do all your favorite songs, and it will be a huge event. And this will trend on YouTube and on Google, and everyone will get to see a different audience will learn about XRP. We'll talk about it. We'll have some fun, but essentially we'll be drinking beer and having a great night. All right? Make sense? Okay, there's the event. The link's in there. When this broadcast comes to an end, it'll take you there automatically if you want to go there. Right, Bank of America is 10 minutes away. So now we're going to open the phone lines up. The phone line is now open. Here is the link. First come, first serve. There are only 10 spaces. These are the spaces, the little blue spots. Here is the link, martynlucas.com/live. You have to be a member. You have to be on camera. Please keep it respectful. And you just click on the link. You don't require any software. I take care of all of that. It's done through a browser. Make sure you turn YouTube off. Thank you very much indeed. Look at all these subscribers. Make sure that you turn YouTube off when you're calling in, or just mute it. You're just going to call in and be on an interview screen. I hope Pal calls in as well. That would be amazing. And sends it at the same time. I doubt it though. He's on a holiday. So please do call in. And the password is LucasAids, which is uppercase L, uppercase A, 100. You've got 9 minutes left if you want to call in. If no one calls in, that's absolutely fine. But you've got 9 minutes before the call starts. All right? So the phone line is now open. Let's see who calls in. Pow, no, Rico is totally in the right place. Said Pow, Wadey Millions. Hey, you're right, Pow. MSK. I'd love to get your thoughts, Rod from Pow. If you'd like to call into the show, you've got a few seconds before we start. We've got 9 minutes. Who else we got here? There is a 100% chance of pullback to the 2.9 to 3 range, but don't sell in the hope of being able to buy more. Just be prepared, says Oiler fans. What have we got here? That was the music you were playing on yesterday, live XRP pump show, Martyn Lucas. Oh, what was the music? It's called Neutron, Phoenix. There you go. That's what it was. Tempted to drop 10% or 50% to get all my investments back at 330, then another 10% at 490. I plan to hold 50% or forever for a forever moon. Interesting. XRP will hit $10 in the next 6 months. Sensei was up late last night. He was very, very late. We've got 8 minutes to go. No one's calling in. I'm going to give you 1 more minute or 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to close the phone line. close the phone line. All right. So what I'd like to do is get everybody to click on this for the party tomorrow night. If you really want to promote XRP to a whole new audience, we've got to the banks now. We've got to a Bank of America earnings. So that's really amazing. And now we want to get it to a musical audience. Click the link. It's pinned to the top. This is the event. I will change the thumbnail. This is the XRP party tomorrow night on the pop channel, on the music channel. Click ring the bell and click like and reminder and leave a comment. And if you want a request for a favorite song, put it in the chat there. Bring your beer. Tell all your friends to join you on their watch on a big screen at home, but make sure they're all on their own. Make sure they're all on their own devices so they can actually comment in the chat. Someone's just calling in. But he's just showing me on me on the screen on his TV. I can't bring you into the call. You need to be on you need to be on camera. You need to be a member. I can't bring you on like that. All right. We always get someone who tries to spoil it. What we're going to do soon is change the password as well and make it members only because people have been trying to abuse it. Yeah, we've just got idiots now calling in, trying to ruin the phone-in system. So we're upgrading the system and we're making it members-only passwords, which only members can get in the members-only area of the channel. So this won't be happening anymore. They've been doing it now for a few days, and I don't know what the point of it is. I never let them on the show, but it makes them feel important, doesn't it, that they can somehow make themselves look stupid. But anyway, soon enough, that's going to stop. And we're going to put a new password only members can access. And I don't have to keep sitting here wasting my time
Ben Sans Gluten
when we're
has
trying to
become
get
a
real
member.
people on the show. Anyway, Ben Sans Gluten has become a member. Thank you, Ben. Sven Hansen, 98% of our live viewers are members, more than any other channel in the world. Right, okay. What we're going to do, we're going to turn off the phone in now because there's an idiot just making an arse of themselves. So we've turned it off. Sorry about that. There's no live phone in. We're going to make it members only. We're going to make it with a password that's hidden, and idiots can't access it. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you ever so much.
Sven Hansen has become a member.
Can I share my screen? Yes, you can share your screen. Pal group. Do you want to call in then? You got to be quick, mate. We've only got 5 minutes. It's a bit late now. But if you want to call in, you got to be quick. Okay, I'll open up the phone line again. I will have an idiot try to call in, unfortunately, but please do call in quick. You've got 5 minutes. And yes, I can. If you share your screen, I will see it and I can share it. All you've got to do is on the phone-in software that I use, that you will see share my screen, like Sensei did when he phones in. He uses the same system. He clicks share my screen, and I can bring that in as a different camera source and share it. You've got 4 minutes to go. We're running out of time. We've got a big audience now forming in for tomorrow night's XRP music party. That's going to be very, very exciting. If you don't do it before the earnings call begins, I can bring you in after the earnings call. We can do it that way, if you like. All right. Okay. We got 4 minutes to go now. Here we go. Starts in 4 minutes. There's the audio coming in. XRP is pumping again. Okay. There's the audio. Let me check that. Let me turn up a bit. Pal, unfortunately, I think you've run out of time. We've run out of time. We've run out of time. So call in at the end of the show. We're going to change the passwords because we got this idiot who keeps messing around, some lunatic who's not brave enough to come on camera. So let's end that. There we go. Okay, we've turned it off now. We'll do it later when we change the passwords. Okay, we've got 3 minutes to go now. I've got the Bank of America earnings ready to go. I apologize, they've gone for white. It's just the way they do things. It is what it is. There's the audio. We're waiting for them to go live. We'll cover that in a moment. So there we go. How can I call in? I just became a member. We're not, unfortunately, one idiot has spoiled it for everybody. So we're not doing phone-ins just yet. We'll do it again at the end. We've run out of time, but we're going to change the passwords. This is how you become a member, and the link to call in is in the chat. Unfortunately, we've just turned calling off because we've run out of time. All right? But martynlucas.com/live. Yeah, but it's turned off now, Mike. I've turned it off because we've run out of time. The call was about to begin. Right, let's listen in. Yeah. It's not actually going to ruin it. Every time someone acts like an idiot, I make it better. So what I'll do is I'll upgrade it. I'll make it even better. I'll just spend a bit of time making a website. I will make a special page which has got a password that only members can access, which they get from Discord and being on the YouTube pages. So it'll just make it even better, and we'll have less interference, less annoying idiots, and we can focus on the real investors, not the clowns that just want to make themselves feel important. There you go. How long is the stream of Bank of America? Probably an hour and a half. An hour and a half. Thanks, Mike. Okay. We're on standby. Now, if you've not watched earnings before, they typically go 1 or 2 minutes late. That is normal. Thank you ever so much, everyone who's subscribing to the music party for tomorrow night. I'll call in soon. Give me 5 minutes. Pal Group, you're behind the stream, mate. You're behind the stream, unfortunately. And the call is about to begin, so we've turned it off. Pal's getting the information behind the stream. If you are behind the stream, I tell everybody how to make sure that you're not behind the stream. Let me share with you on the screen how not to be behind the stream. You're watching right now. As you can see, it's live. My live button is grey. That's because I'm behind the stream. Click live. You see how the dot has turned red? You see how the dot has turned red? Now you're 30 seconds behind the stream. Now you click the button here, which you can watch in 4K, by the way. And now you click speed, playback speed, and you increase the speed. All right? And now it will speed it up. And now you're 10 seconds behind. That's because I'm behind the stream. Click live. You see how the dot has turned red? You see how the dot has turned red? Okay? That's how it works. That's how you're not behind the stream. That's how you're up to date. What's happened is... Powell's got behind the stream, he's buffered, he's paused, he's gone away from his computer, and now he's behind, and he's hearing what I'm saying a minute or two late, and obviously I'm telling him now that we've run out of time. Anyway, there you go. Back over to Bank of America. They're playing audio. Nothing to see here. We're going to refresh the screen to make sure that all is good. Click play. Now, they're more than likely to be a few seconds late. Most earnings calls are. The worst one once was 40 minutes. But typically, earnings go 1 or 2 minutes late. For some reason, they can never be on time. But we will be going to it live. Be watching the Bank of America stock, which did very well today. It beat on earnings, going back up again as the call begins. There's the overall stock, XRP. There's my portfolio, going back up again. No surprise there, heading to all-time highs. Just as the call begins, there's my portfolio. No surprise there. There's Bank of America, XRP, sorry. Thank you, pal. Yes, love you to call in at the end of the earning. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have Pal Group, who does crypto analysis on XRP, call in at the end of the earnings call. So stand by to the end of the earnings call, and you're going to get a reaction from Rod of what he hears. If anything to do with XRP, we may not, of course. There are YouTubers trying to sell the story that it's been confirmed. It's not been confirmed. I've been trying to calm people down and say that's not the case. But stand by, and at the end of the call, we'll have a discussion. You can call back in again. I'll open the phone line up. I'd love to hear from MSK, who's coming up to $1 million in XRP. Rod can call in from Power Group and talk to us about XRP. This is the audio.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's Q4 Bank of America earnings announcement. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, you will have the opportunity to ask questions during the question and answer session. Please note today's call will be recorded, and I will be standing by should you need any assistance. It is now my pleasure to turn the conference over to Lee McEntire. You may begin.
Good morning. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the call to discuss our fourth quarter results. Our earnings release documents are available on the Investor Relations section of the bankofamerica.com website, and they include the earnings presentation that we'll make reference to during this call. I hope everyone's had a chance to review the documents. Our CEO, Brian,
if there is any XRP information, it will come in the Q&A section. It will come in the Q&A section at the end of the call, and then we'll have Rod on the show to call in as well.
We may make forward-looking statements and refer to non-GAAP financial measures during the call. Forward-looking statements are based on management's current expectations and the assumptions that are subject to risk and uncertainties. Factors that may cause our actual results to materially differ from expectations are detailed in the earnings materials and the SEC filings available on our website.
Can everyone tap the like button and share this out?
Non-GAAP financial measures,
there's 817 watching. We've got 249 likes. We should have 500 likes by now. Share this out, folks.
So with that, I'm happy to turn the call over to Brian.
Here's Brian, the CEO.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Before we begin today, I just want to express our deep concern for our communities, clients, and teammates impacted by the California wildfires. Our top priority, of course, is ensuring the safety and welfare of our team and helping our clients and customers. Our imperturbable market president, Raul Anaya, is leading our team out there. We have teams on the ground assisting in any way we can and are monitoring the situation to extend support and resources. So far, we have activated our client assistance program, donated $1 million in disaster relief to the American Red Cross, and additional contributions to the LA Food Bank and the LA Chamber of Commerce small business efforts. With that, let's turn to earnings starting on page 2 of the presentation. This morning, we reported $6.7 billion in net income. That is 82 cents in EPS for the fourth quarter. That was a solid finish to another good year at Bank of America. We grew revenue on a year-over-year basis in every category in quarter 4. We saw good loan and deposit growth. And Alistair's going to walk you through some of the details of the quarter in a moment, but I want to thank our team for another great year. For the full year of 2024, we generated $102 billion of revenue and reported net income of $27.1 billion of EPS of $3.21. We produced 83 basis points return on assets and 13% return on tangible common equity. We generated these results working from a strong balance sheet that allowed us to support clients, and the economy has continued to grow. The economy appears to be now settled into a 2 to 3% GDP-type growth environment. It has healthy employment levels and a resilient consumer. The immensity of the American consumer can be seen in our data. So far, in the first 2 weeks in January, they're spending money at 4 to 5% clip over last year, similar to what they did in the fourth quarter. And on our business side, the clients are profitable, they're liquid, and seeing good productivity. We ended the year with $953 billion of liquidity. We also ended with $201 billion of regulatory CET1 capital and a CET1 ratio of 11.9%, leaving us nearly 115 basis points of excess capital as we begin 2025. For Bank of America, the year was characterized by a few important highlights that played out as expected and were consistent with our communications
Mario has become a member.
First, we saw net interest income bottom out at $13.9 billion on an FTE basis in the second quarter of 2024. We ended the year with a fourth quarter on the same FTE basis at $14.5 billion. Then that was a bit better than we expected. This obviously provides a great starting point for 2025, and based on the assumptions Alistair is going to discuss a little later, we should report record NII in 2025. So how did we do that? We drove organic growth in all the businesses, and that we have highlighted on slide 3. We saw continued growth in net new checking, new households, new companies in commercial banking, growth in our institutional markets business. This organic activity enabled us to grow loans and deposits at a pace we believe is to be ahead of our industry average and our peers. A key for us, obviously, is the growth in our deposit franchise. If you look at slide 4, you can see we've now grown deposits for 6 consecutive quarters. In the most recent quarter, we saw growth in consumer balances and stability around non-interest-bearing balances across all the businesses. We continue to price in a disciplined manner, and rates paid moved lower this quarter across the board. Overall rate paid on deposits moved from 210 basis points in the third quarter to 194 basis points this quarter, and we're lower in the fourth quarter, and we're lower in every business segment. On the loan side, consumer loans grew in every category linked quarter. Commercial loan demand continued to build off the strength we saw in the third quarter of 2024, and commercial loans grew 5% year over year for the fourth quarter and a much faster annualized pace when comparing the third quarter to the fourth quarter of 2024. So back to slide 3. In our wealth management business, we added 24,000 new households in 2024. We ended the year with $6 trillion in total client balances that we manage for people in America across our global wealth and consumer businesses. Our consumer investments team, what we call Merrill Edge, crossed a new milestone this quarter and now sits in excess of $518 billion in balances. Investment banking gained share of industry revenue in 2024. Our sales and trading team put up the 11th straight quarter of year-over-year revenue growth and achieved a new full-year record of nearly $19 billion in revenue. Asset quality stabilized and remained strong with net charge-offs declining modestly from third quarter. Earlier in the year, we highlighted that our expectation on consumer credit is that they would stabilize to normal level, and on commercial office losses, they would trend down during the year. We saw both those trends continue into quarter 4. On the expense side, we continue to invest in our franchise. And even though spending increases in brand, people, and technology, and strong fee growth, which drove incentive and transaction processing costs higher, we managed to create operating leverage in the fourth quarter. Our digitalization and engagement expanded across all our businesses. We saw more than 14 billion logins to our digital platforms in 2024. Our Erica capability surpassed 2.5 billion interactions from its inception, and our Cash Pro app surpassed $1 trillion in payments made through the app in 2024. It's also worth noting that digital sales in our consumer product areas crossed 60% in the fourth quarter again. You can see all these trends in our industry-leading digital disclosure on slides 26, 28, and 30 in the appendix. All of this success and balance sheet strength allowed us to deliver more capital back to our shareholders. We returned $21 billion of capital to shareholders in 2024, which was 75% more than 2023, and included an 8% increase in the common dividend. So in summary, for both the fourth quarter and for the year, we enjoyed good profitability. We drove healthy returns. We saw good organic client activity across all the businesses. We continued to manage the risk well, and we increased the capital delivered back to our shareholders. And we positioned ourselves well for growth in 2025. I want to again thank my team for continuing to drive another year of responsible growth. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alistair.
Thank you, Brian. And I'm going to start on slide 5 of the earnings presentation because it'll provide just a little more context on the quarter. For the
if we get any XRP crypto conversation, it'll be in the Q&A at the end when investors will ask, is there any connection with XRP? That's where we might get the information.
I just need to remind you that our fourth quarter 2023 GAAP net income number included 2 notable items. In the fourth quarter of 23, first, we recorded $2.1 billion of pre-tax expense for the special assessment by the FDIC to the industry to recover losses from the failures of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. And that reduced EPS last year by 20 cents. Second, we recorded a negative pre-tax impact to our market-making revenue of approximately $1.6 billion related to the cessation of BSBY as an alternative rate, and that reduced earnings per share last year by 15 cents. So when you adjust for the large FDIC assessment and the BSBY cessation charge, fourth quarter 23 net income was $5.9 billion, or 70 cents per share. On slide 6, we note some of the highlights of the quarter, and we reported revenue of $25.5 billion on a fully taxable equivalent basis, up 15% from the fourth quarter of 23. And if you exclude the fourth quarter 23 BSBY cessation charge, our revenues grew 8% year over year. As Brian said, all the revenue items are showing improvement year over year. NII grew 3%, Investment banking grew 44%. This quarter, our $4 billion of sales and trading revenue marked a fourth quarter record, and it grew 10% from the year ago period. And investment and brokerage fees rose 21%, with both assets under management flows and market levels contributing nicely to the growth. Our card income and service charges grew 7%. Non-interest expense was $16.8 billion and was up when adjusted for the FDIC special assessment, driven by incentives paid for the strong revenue growth, as Brian noted, and the related activity cost that comes with that. Expense also included additional investments in people, technology, and brand, with some major partnerships.
Can everyone tap the like button, please? Share this out. We should be now at 600 likes. We're just a few away from 1,000 watching live.
And controls.
Thank you.
The good news is we created operating leverage in the quarter. Provision expense for the quarter was $1.5 billion and was consistent with the previous two quarters. And lastly, returns in the fourth quarter were 80 basis points of ROA and 13% return on tangible common equity. Turning to the balance sheet on slide 7, we ended the quarter at $3.26 trillion of total assets, down $63 billion from the third quarter, driven by seasonally lower levels of client activity in global markets, while loans across the businesses grew $20 billion in the quarter. Otherwise, in the quarter, the investments of our excess liquidity saw a $9 billion reduction in hold-to-maturity securities, and at the same time, the combination of shorter-term liquidity investments of cash and available-for-sale securities increased $28 billion. On the funding side, total deposits grew $35 billion on an ending basis, as both interest-bearing and non-interest-bearing grew. Long-term debt fell $14 billion, driven by net redemptions and valuations, and global markets funding declined in line with assets. Liquidity remains strong with $953 billion of global liquidity sources. That is up modestly compared to the third quarter, even as we paid down some debt and retired some preferreds. Shareholders' equity was flat at around $295 billion, and within all of that, we returned $5.5 billion of capital back to shareholders, with $2 billion in common dividends paid and the repurchase of $3.5 billion in shares this quarter. Tangible book value per share of $26.58 rose 9% from the fourth quarter last year. Turning to regulatory capital, our CET1 level improved to $201 billion, and the CET1 ratio rose to 11.9%, remaining well above our new 10.7% requirement. Risk-weighted assets increased modestly as increases in loans were mostly offset by lower RWA supporting our global markets client activity. Our supplementary leverage ratio was 5.9% versus a minimum requirement of 5%, which leaves some capacity for balance sheet growth, and our $460 billion of total loss-absorbing capital means our TLAC ratio remains comfortably above our requirements. Let's turn to slide 8. We can go a little deeper on loans by looking at average balances. And loans in the fourth quarter of $1.08 trillion improved 3% year over year, driven by solid commercial loan growth. Overall, commercial loans grew 5% year over year. And importantly, this included an 8% drop in commercial real estate loans. Commercial loans excluding commercial real estate grew 7% year over year. And the consumer loans grew modestly both linked quarter and year over year. As Brian said, on a linked quarter basis, every category of consumer lending grew, and you can see that at the bottom of slide 8. If we turn our focus to NII performance and use slide 9, regarding NII on a GAAP non-fully taxable equivalent basis, NII in Q4 was $14.
We're trying to bring XRP to a financial institutional audience, very important, and we're also trying to educate by you listening to the Q&A at the end. The Q&A is where they may ask the question about crypto or XRP in the Q&A at the end.
And this represents
Stand by,
now
have
our
patience.
second quarter of NII growth.
This is for
and
real
we
investors
expect
now.
that growth to continue in 2025. In fact, if you look at the 2 quarters after the inflection point, NII is already growing at a 5% rate. Fourth quarter NII on a fully taxable equivalent basis increased by $399 million from the third quarter, driven by a number of factors. First, it was led by improvement in deposits across the businesses. And even as deposit balances increased linked quarter, our interest expense on those deposits declined by $600 million. Loan growth and fixed rate asset repricing also benefited us again this quarter. With regard to a forward view, interest rate expectations
XRP has essentially moved on all this potential connection with Bank of America, so this is important, folks.
Future NII. We expect to start the year in the first quarter with NII modestly higher than the fourth. Remember that the first quarter has 2 fewer days of interest, and that's roughly the equivalent of about $250 million of NII equivalent. So even with that, we expect to grow modestly. Then we expect that growth to increase through the year to the point where it could be 6 to 7% higher in 2025 than 2024. We expect to exit the year at least $1 billion higher in the fourth quarter, and that would put us in a range of $15.5 to $15.7 billion on a fully taxable equivalent basis. And that's obviously significantly higher than the Q2 24 trough of $13.9 billion. I have to note the following assumptions. First, we assume that the current forward curve materializes. And while the interest rate curve has changed significantly over a fairly short period of time, as of the 10th of January, the curve was expecting only 1 rate cut in 2025 that may come in May or June. Based on our more recent growth experienced, we're assuming loan and deposit growth in 2025 that's higher than 2024 and more consistent with growth in a 2 to 3% GDP environment. The other elements of anticipated growth in NII expected are the benefits of asset repricing as fixed-rate securities and loans and swaps roll off, and those get repriced at higher rates. And those themes all remain consistent with our prior conversations with you in the last several earnings calls. With regard to interest rate sensitivity, on a dynamic deposit basis, we provide a 12-month change in NII for an instantaneous shift in the curve above or below the forward curve. And on that basis, a 100 basis point increase would benefit NII by roughly $1 billion, while a decrease of 100 basis points would decrease NII over the next 12 months by $2.3 billion. Lastly, note that our slide showing the trended investment of excess deposits is in our appendix. It's on page 21. Deposit levels grew to $870 billion over loans at the end of Q4, and that's an incredible source of value for shareholders. And $649 billion, or 54% of our excess liquidity, is now in short-dated cash and available for sale securities. The longer-dated, lower-yielding hold-to-maturity book continues to roll off, and we continue to
Coming to the end, we'll have Q&A. That's where we'll hear if there's anything at all with XRP and crypto.
Okay, let's now turn to expense.
And we'll hear,
use slide 10
we've got some guests calling in as well.
We reported $16.8 billion in expense this quarter, and the fourth quarter of 23 included the large FDIC special assessment charge, and excluding that, expense increased. The increased expense from prior periods was driven by a number of factors and was partially offset by a roughly $300 million release of prior period accruals for the FDIC special assessment. Let's talk about the drivers of the expense. First, in regard to revenue, our markets-related business.
We're learning a lot here about inflation and where the markets go as well.
Trading. Those were up 20% year over year. Incentives for the firm were up 15% versus the fourth quarter of 23, and were in large part related to these markets-related revenue streams. On investments that we made, we added bankers and advisors across most of our businesses in 2024, and we also increased investments in our brand with significant sponsorships like the Masters and FIFA, to name a few. And we increased our investments around technology as well as financial centers. This quarter alone, we added 17 financial centers, with 9 of those in our new expansion markets. We're a growth company, and we continue to invest in our future. As far as headcount goes, we've managed our headcount carefully, and we've held it fairly flat through the 4 quarters of 2024.
Technology, investments in technology was mentioned there.
People. Lastly, we incurred additional costs to accelerate work on compliance and controls. As you likely saw in late December, the OCC issued a compliance consent order to Bank of America, and that's a result of exams done more than a year ago. This order is about correcting or enhancing certain deficiencies in some aspects of our processes that existed at the time. The order doesn't limit any of our growth plans, and the order acknowledges we began taking corrective actions before the order was announced. And as a result of the work in process, we increased our resources substantially in the second half of 2024, and those costs are already embedded in our quarterly run rate. Okay, let's go back to expense and how to think about a forward view. First, most importantly, we remain focused on growing the company and driving operating leverage. Second, we expect the first quarter to include some normal seasonal elevation, and we believe this amount will be roughly $600 to $700 million, primarily for payroll tax expense. So we think $17.6 billion is a good number to expect for Q1 before seasonally declining in Q2. And that's all part of our expectation that expense should be roughly 2 to 3% higher in 2025 compared to 2024. Let's now move to credit and turn to slide 11, where you can see net charge-offs of a little less than $1.5 billion, improving modestly compared to Q3. That's the 4th quarter now that net charge-offs are around $1.5 billion. We've seen consumer losses in a pretty stable range of $1 to $1.1 billion over those past few quarters. And on the commercial side, we saw losses of $359 million, which is down from the 3rd quarter, driven by the continued decline in commercial real estate office losses. The net charge-off ratio this quarter was 54 basis points, down 4 basis points from the 3rd quarter. We don't see overall net charge-offs or the related ratio changing much in 2025. Without much change in current GDP or the employment environment, we expect the net charge-off ratio to be in a range of 50 to 60 basis points of loans for 2025. Q4 provision expense was $90 million lower than Q3 at $1.5 billion, as reserve levels remained constant. And as it relates to reserve levels, on a weighted basis, we're reserved for an unemployment rate a little below 5% by the end of 2025, and that compares to the most recent 4.1% rate reported. On slide 12, we highlight the credit quality metrics for both consumer and commercial portfolios, and there's nothing really noteworthy here that I want to highlight on this page. So let's move to the various lines of business, starting on slide 13 with consumer banking. That business made nearly $11 billion, or 40% of the company's earnings in 2024.
Please tap the like to share this out to more people. Thank you.
Consumer banking generated $10.6 billion in revenue and $2.8 billion in net income. Both grew modestly from the 4th quarter of 23, as fee improvement for card and service charges is now being complemented by the growth in NII. Consumer banking continued to deliver strong organic growth with high-quality accounts and engaged clients, and they achieved a new record of client experience scores in December. The organic growth activity noted on slide 3 includes more than 200,000 net new checking accounts, which now takes us to 6 years' worth of quarter-after-quarter growth. And we show another strong period of card openings and investment account growth.
Wise money would be to buy Bank of America for the XRP real
full-year flows of $25 billion, and
that's why we're showing this
throughout the year. Expense rose 8% as we continued investments in our business. The biggest story in consumer this quarter is deposits, because these are the most valuable deposits in the franchise. And in the last 6 months, we believe we've seen the floor begin to form after several periods of slowing decline. Consumer banking deposits appear to have bottomed in mid-August at around $928 billion and ended the year at $952 billion on an ending basis. Looking at averages, you can see then the deposits grew $4 billion from the third quarter to $942 billion, all while our rate paid declined to 64 basis points. Finally, as you can see in the appendix, page 26, digital adoption and engagement continued to improve, and customer satisfaction scores rose to record levels, illustrating our clients' appreciation of enhanced capabilities from these investments. On slide 14, we move to wealth management, where the business had a very profitable year, generating $4.2 billion in earnings from nearly $23 billion in revenue. In 2024, our Merrill Lynch and Private Bank advisors added another 24,000 net new relationships. And the professionalism of these teams earned them numerous best-in-class industry rankings, as you can see on slide 27 in the appendix. With a continued increase in banking product usage from our investing clients, the diversity of revenue in the wealth business continues to improve. The number of GWIM clients that now have banking products with us continues to grow, and at this point it represents more than 60% of our clients. Importantly, about 30% of our revenue remains in net interest income.
Be very careful there's not a sell-off on XRP if there's no mention in the Q&A. I have given that warning many times.
Net income rose 15% from the fourth quarter of 23 to nearly $1.2 billion.
XRP is pumping.
In the fourth quarter, we reported revenue of $6 billion, growing 15% over the prior year and led by 23% growth in asset management fees. While expenses were up year over year, they grew slower than revenue, creating the operating leverage in the business. The business had a 26% pre-tax margin and generated a strong return on capital.
Please tap the like button and share this out.
Average loans were up 4%, driven by growth in custom lending, securities-based lending, and a pickup in mortgage lending. Deposits grew 2% from the third quarter, and the teams were quite disciplined on pricing of those deposits. Both Merrill and the Private Bank continued to see strong organic growth, and that helped to produce excellent asset under management flows of $79 billion this year, reflecting a good mix of new client money as well as existing clients putting money to work. We also want to draw your attention to the continued digital momentum that you'll find on slide 28.
Hang on.
Because, for example, 3/4 of Merrill Bank and brokerage accounts were opened digitally this quarter. Slide 15 shows the global banking results, and this business generated $8.1 billion, or 30% of the company's earnings in 2024, and it continues to be the most efficient business in the company at less than 50% efficiency ratio. The business saw a nice rebound in investment banking fees in 2024, which we expect to continue in 2025. In Q4, global banking produced earnings of $2.1 billion. Pre-tax, pre-provision results were flat year over year, as improved investment banking fees offset lower NII and higher expense. The total earnings were down 13% year over year, driven by higher provision expense that came as a result of prior period reserve release. Investment banking fees were $1.7 billion in Q4, growing 44% year over year. This was led by mergers and acquisitions. We also saw strength across debt capital markets fees, mostly in leverage finance, and in equity capital markets fees. And we finished the year strong, maintaining our number 3 investment banking fee position. The fourth quarter saw strong momentum as the election results provided a lift to sentiment for a more pro-business climate and expectations for more deals to be completed. Expense in this business increased 6% year over year, driven by the 13% growth in non-interest income and continued investments in people and technology. The balance sheet saw good client activity, and it was muted somewhat by the strength of the U.S. dollar. Year-over-year flatness in global banking loans includes this foreign exchange impact and a $6 billion decline in commercial real estate from paydowns. Otherwise, loans in global banking were up 2%.
Thank you, Raj.
Deposits
Appreciate that. Thank you.
For many quarters now with our commercial and corporate clients. And total global banking deposits are now up 10% year over year, reaching a new record. So we're seeing strong growth across all the categories from our corporate and commercial clients, all the way from the larger end to business banking on the lower end. And we also saw 10% growth in our international deposits. Turning to global markets on slide 16, I want to focus my comments on results, excluding DVA, as we normally do. Our team continued their impressive streak of strong revenue and earnings performance. They achieved operating leverage, and they continued to deliver a good return on capital. For the year, record sales and trading results of nearly $19 billion grew 7% from 2023, and they've been growing consistently now on a year-over-year basis for almost 3 years. This led to $5.7 billion in full-year profits and represents more than 20% of the company's full-year results. In the fourth quarter, earnings of $955 million grew 30% year over year. Revenue, and again this is ex-DVA, improved 15% from the fourth quarter of 23, as both sales and trading and investment banking fees improved nicely year over year. Focusing on sales and trading ex-DVA, revenue improved 10% year over year to $4.1 billion. This is the first time we've recorded more than $4 billion in our Q4 results, and it included Q4 records for both FICC and equities. FICC grew 13%, while equities improved 6% compared to the fourth quarter of 23. FICC benefited from tighter credit spreads, as well as increased volatility in interest rates, while equities benefited from increased activity around the U.S. election. Year-over-year expenses were up 7% on revenue improvement and our continued investment in the business. And then on slide 17, you can see all other, with a loss of $407 million in the fourth quarter. We spoke earlier about the fourth quarter 23 charges for BSBY and the FDIC special assessment charge. Their reversal impacts the comparisons on revenue, expense, and net income in this segment. Otherwise, there really isn't anything significant to report here. Our effective tax rate for the quarter was 6%, and excluding discrete items and the tax credits related to investments in renewable energy.
Is Sean Featherstone in the chat? If you are, Sean, come into the chat and speak to me.
Looking forward, we expect the tax rate for 2025 to be in a range of 11 to 13%, and this just includes our expectation for higher expected earnings in 2025 and relatively stable tax credits. Finally, this quarter, on page 18, we thought it was important to summarize some of the guidance points we talked through this morning, and we hope you find this page helpful. So in summary, we're looking for strong growth in NII, and we'll look to both continue important investments in the franchise and drive operating leverage as we grow throughout the year. We aren't expecting much movement around credit based on a pretty solid economic outlook, and we remain with a very strong balance sheet with excess capital that we can deploy to grow the business and deliver back to shareholders as appropriate. So with that, I'll stop there. I'll thank everybody.
Q&A.
And we'll open it up for Q&A.
Here we go.
At this time, if you would like to ask a question,
be careful, a dump. It's starting to pump going into Q&A. That's very, very worrying to me.
You may withdraw yourself from the queue at any time by pressing
If there's no mention,
2.
it might drop. Just be careful.
And we'll take our first question from Steven Chubak with Wolfe Research. Your line is open.
Hi, good morning, Brian. Good morning, Alistair.
Morning.
So wanted to start off, Alistair, with maybe unpacking some of the
Sean, give me your
drivers
Discord
of the
username.
NII
I'll upgrade you right now.
25.
Thank you.
Now, how much of the build that you're guiding to is attributable to loan growth versus some rate or repricing tailwinds, runoff of legacy swaps, what have you? And does that acceleration in NII you cited for the second half continue into 26, given some of those tailwinds should remain in place beyond 25?
Well, first of all, I admire you asking about 26. I'm always reluctant to talk about the back half of 25, so I'll leave 26 for another time. But we don't have a whole lot new, Stephen, relative to what we've talked about in the prior quarters. We're obviously pointing right now to deposit growth in particular because it's beginning to get
Send me a friend request. I'll accept it. You are now in the Discord.
Deposit balances were declining as people got back to something more normal.
I do not send friend requests. Be careful.
But we're highlighting here, consumer found its floor in August. Wealth found its floor in July. And that's giving some support then as we grow deposits. That's helping us with the NII growth. So that hasn't changed. It's just that now we've got successive quarters of growth that we can actually point to.
It's no coincidence it's pumping right now.
You asked about is interesting in that there were several quarters there where we were bouncing around flattish on loans. In Q2, we added $9 billion of loans. In Q3, we added $19 billion. In Q4, we added $20 billion. So the loan growth has picked up a little bit. We can sort of see a little more optimism with clients, a little more activity, a little more demand from clients for loan growth. So those two things, a little more confidence around deposit growth, a little more confidence around loan growth, those obviously compound through the course of the year, so that will help us in the back half of 25. And then, as you pointed out, we're still a beneficiary of the fixed asset repricing. That comes from some of the old loans that are on our books that come off in 2025.
All done, Sean. Welcome to the family.
And then we've got some cash flow swaps that also will mature through the course of the year. So that's what leads us to this idea of we think the NII growth will accelerate to 6 to 7%, and for the full year. So a little bit faster in the back half of the year. We kind of just see that, but that's what gives us the confidence on NII.
That's great, Alistair. And maybe a follow-up for Brian. Just at a recent conference, you spoke about the expectation of delivering 200 bips of sustainable operating leverage, laying out an algorithm where revenues grow 4 to 5%, expenses grow 2 to 3%. What gives you confidence in that ability to deliver that level of top-line growth on a sustainable basis? Just want to unpack that a little bit further.
So
warning, there are some YouTubers and some social media content saying it was mentioned on the call, pumping up the stock, pumping up the asset. Be careful.
Growing at a slower rate than
there is no mention yet. Keep listening. Don't pay attention. People are buying this news. Be careful.
Like and so it's not something we haven't done.
We're here to help people.
About the current environment, what's driving
oh dear.
is different. Our revenue growth is going at twice that rate plus, and the expense growth is growing, close to that number. But when you get to higher growth rates, especially where it's coming from, wealth management business, markets-based businesses, investment banking, it attaches a higher sort of instantaneous expense, and yet it still produces even a little bit of operating leverage at a higher growth rate, a good after-tax, a good
Please, everyone,
EPS
tap the like
result,
button, share this out. This is the real
result.
truth.
So, there's different times, different models.
Please, everyone, smash the like. We should have 1,000 likes by now.
It might grow all the time in more normalized environments, but the businesses coming from are those businesses which have the quickest move relative to expense. I'll give you an example of that of the two. If you normalize last year's expense and think about our expectations from 23 to 24, and you look at the growth rate.
My system is picking up hundreds
big part of the growth rate
of
expense, about 45
false
50%
claims about XRP on this call.
Teammates, which is a
YouTubers, websites, be wary. It's pumping.
About half of that in, and if you look at there are other pieces added to that. So
everyone is sending it to me.
Steve, simply put, we did it before. We know we can do it. You can see underlying setup, and you see NII kick in, the consumer business, which is more incrementally profitable because NII. You see that kick in, and you see the expense base there flattening out. You see the revenue base of the company broaden out. You'll see that we'll get back to the operating leverage that we expected, albeit it may be at a little slower year-over-year growth rate, unless you're going to tell me the market's going to go up 25, 30% every year. And drive the wealth management. When that slows down to a more normal growth rate, that'll slow down its expense growth rate also. Therefore, you'll see the opening up at that level. So It's not something we make up. It's something we
I just
put in our
shared your
operating
comment.
principles,
I share everyone's
we've done
comments.
a lot of quarters, but we have to sort of get the stability in the relative business position.
Yes,
That's
they would.
great color. Thanks so much for taking my questions.
And Steve, the easiest thing to think about is headcount. At the end of the day, our costs are all people, and that's been relatively stable, and that'll start to flow through because during the course of last year, we basically kept the headcount relatively stable. We had some offbeat expenses that we had to deal with, but now we're sort of settling into that 213,000 level people with a takeout on stuff through operating excellence and putting in on stuff into client coverage, expanding our pipes to draw more marketing, more client coverage, more technology investment. So we always are shifting expenses, and that's how we make that operating leverage happen.
No, it's a really good point. Thanks for the additional headcount nugget, Brian. Much appreciated.
We'll move next to John McDonald with Truist Securities. Your line is open.
Hi, good morning. Wanted to ask as a first question, just to follow up to Steve's NII questioning. Alistair, is the deposit growth in the model that you've laid out for the year being used to pay down more expensive funding? You've talked about the ability to kind of self-fund balance sheet growth. And then also, is there any sense of the yield pickup you get on the swap roll-off and replacement that you could give us, kind of ballpark on?
John, before Alistair starts, welcome back from the cold to be able to be back in coverage and covering our company. And it's always good to know that you're going to consistently ask about NII, but I'll turn it to Alistair to give you the...
Thanks, Brian. Got to be typecast.
There you go. So I think your first question was, if we get the deposit growth we anticipate, do we think we'll use some of that to pay off some of the higher cost liabilities on the balance sheet? The answer is yes. That's consistent with what we said in prior calls. We've done that. If you look at the, other institutional CDs, you'll see they came down by another $7 billion this quarter. So as we grow the really high quality parts of the deposit franchise, it allows us to take those down. And that's one of the things that's going to help grow net interest yield on an ongoing basis. It's not NII accretive necessarily, but it helps us with net interest yield. So that remains a part of the strategy, John. You'll see that continue. As it relates to the cash flow swaps and how those reprice,
we'll have technical analysis at the end.
Lay out the table
Stand by,
of
special guest.
How it reprices over time, but it is embedded in our guidance. So each quarter, when I give you guidance,
Powell, you ready?
Quarter, that will incorporate what we know is coming off on the cash flow swaps and how that does. The other fixed rate assets you can kind of see in our supplemental information just based on the originations of resi mortgage, the originations of auto loans, and every time obviously we're booking new residential mortgage and old residential mortgages coming off, we're picking up 250 basis points every time there. So you can see that happening each time you pick up the supplemental. We just don't tend to disclose the cash flow swaps. So I will do that for you each quarter as we go through the year.
Okay, and then just to switch topics so Brian doesn't make fun of me.
That's all right. That's all right, John. Just kidding.
Now, in terms of capital, how are you thinking about the CET1 target and the buffer that feels appropriate in this environment, and how does that play into your thinking on buybacks?
So I think we bought $3.5 billion this quarter. We'd expect to continue to step back to the highest levels. We're in the money. We pay the dividend, we invest in the growth of the business, and then we use the rest to buy back stock. That was $3.5 billion in the past couple of quarters. So at this earnings rate, that seems a level that makes sense. We're 11.9 we think at a 10.7 requirement, a buffer of 11, of 50. That's 11.2. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of changes in the capital rules, and we'll have to settle it after we see that. And we hope some relief in the volatility of the CCAR outcomes. Because remember that last year
more
we jumped,
YouTubers, more social media content being shared. That it was mentioned on the call. Completely untrue.
To the actual risk of the company and stuff. So hopefully we'll see that settle back in.
Okay. Does that leave you towards a mid-teens ROTCE target, Brian, as NIM normalizes and capital normalizes?
Yeah, I think the capital normalization will be more, sort of holding that capital grow through it, not have to retain more capital for growth, frankly, if there's math that helps us favor it. But the NIM is probably more critical to move, the yield from, sub 2% this quarter to 2.10 plus at the end of the fourth quarter, and then moving from there. That as you know, is
Sensei's here.
Flows the bottom lines will continue to drive the ROTCE back up as if you look back.
Can you call in, Sensei? End of the call.
Where there was any front end Fed funds was 2%. We were running a couple hundred basis points more. It's the huge zero interest deposit base, especially in consumer and low interest deposit base, that provides a lot of leverage. So that'll be a driver. The capital return would help some, but I think that'll be more complex based on all the different rules and what happens.
Got it. Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Glenn Score.
We're going to have Rod call in at the end. Hopefully Sensei can call in as well. Technical analysis.
Hi, thanks very much. I have a relative question on trading. I know how impossible it is to predict really the environments, but you took share in investment banking. You've invested and gotten benefits from that. You have invested in trading, so maybe it's a weird question because you just put up record revenues in FICC and equities, as you mentioned, but when we see good environments like this, some companies tend to really blow out numbers. You guys have zero loss days. You don't tend to blow out numbers. Is that a comment about gaps in the business mix that you'd like to invest more and fill in? Is that a comment about risk tolerance? I'm just curious how to think about it on a relative basis.
I think you have to back up. Jim DeMar and the team are driving the business 11 straight quarters of year-over-year growth. Frankly, I'm not sure any other company comes close to matching that. So other people have more volatile up and down as you're prospecting.
Amazing.
Over time, we just want this to keep walking up the ladder, and they've done a great job of doing that, continuing to drive the business. In fact, if you look at year-over-year comparisons, because your point was obviously something we asked ourselves, and we looked at the last 48 hours here, 24 hours, basically a lot of people in the same range, as opposed to fourth quarter, where some people's last year's fourth quarter was down a lot from the prior years. Ours was more
Good
stable.
job, James.
And I think last year's fourth quarter was one of the highest fourth quarters we ever had. And then we put another 10%
Danny, you're
plus
not a
growth
member.
on top of it. So think of us as being that that business that just is imperturbable. It just keeps calmly growing forward and driving itself up without having maybe some of that more traditional trading house up and down. Not because we're not good at it, they're very good at it. Not because they aren't gaining share, because frankly, if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, they continue to gain share. It's just we have a little less volatility and principal activity on a given day.
Okay, I appreciate that. Maybe this might be a simple follow-up, but on your comments when talking about credit and reserves, your reserve for unemployment a little below 5%. We're 4.1% now. I think that's the way this cycle has played out. I think that's typical B of A conservatism. I think that's the accounting. But I guess my question is, your reserves will be fine, your P&L will be fine, but if that plays out, does that completely change how we're thinking about the pickup in consumer spending, overall loan growth, things like that? Because we're talking about just the next 4 quarters.
Yeah, this is where you got, Glenn, you got to kind of get away from reserve setting methodologies versus what we really believe is from our research team and your research team, your economics research team would tell you. Our core assumption is the GDP grows in the low 2s this year. The unemployment stays between 4.1, I think 4, maybe gets up to 4.3 or something like that. So this is literally a weighting of a base case which would match that in an adverse case, and some other cases just in the way we build methodologies for the reserves, because you're reserving for uncertain future, and that's how it has it. So don't take it as a thought that we really believe we're going to see 4.8% unemployment in the next 4 quarters. And so hopefully that
that's all I wanted to get out. I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks. I'm good.
We'll move next to Erica Najarian with
Here's
UBS.
the stuff from the big YouTubers, Complete Lies.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon.
Con artist, BitBoy, goes all in on XRP.
Just a follow-up. Brian, I
Complete
think I heard
Lies.
you say in response
I'm
to
getting
John's
loads of it now.
question that you
Please
think
be careful.
The exit rate net interest margin will be 2.1%. I think in 4Q25. I just wanted to confirm that I heard that correctly. And underneath that, Alistair, could you talk about the repricing or down deposit beta dynamics that you would assume to get to that net interest margin?
Yes. So the simple answer is you stated what I stated to John, but I'll let Alistair answer the second part of the question.
So generally, Erica, we're obviously following the Fed rate cuts, just repricing things accordingly. There are, I think, two things going on right now that are interesting. The first one is, generally speaking, in the commercial business,
all this is rubbish.
Higher-end deposits, we're typically following the rate cuts and just going down 25 basis points. Obviously, at the other extreme, on the non-interest-bearing, there's nothing we can do with that. It's already non-interest-bearing. But we're following the Fed cuts. We're moving the rates with discipline accordingly. And then the second thing that's going on is there was some rotation going on over the course of the past 2 years where there have been a lot of things going from non-interest-bearing into interest-bearing across the different parts of our businesses. That has slowed significantly. So you look at, for example, consumer non-interest-bearing. That seems to have bottomed out in February of last year. And the non-interest-bearing balances are growing now again. So that rotation is slowing also. Both of those things are factoring into our guidance.
Yeah, so Erica, if you look at in the interesting part that's gone on in the last couple of quarters, just from a deposit behavior, if you look at our accounts that were here prior to the pandemic to now, you saw a run-up, and then you saw a little depletion, and it's basically stabilized at a level. But if you looked at it in the aggregate, all the depletion is actually driven by the highest balance accounts, like 250, 500 average balances, million, and the others are still multiples of where they were before. That's been going on, and they've been growing, and they're growing 9% year over year in the lower balance accounts as people make more money and store more cash and have cash flow. So if you think about what happened is our average balance accounts.
How desperate are you to sell videos?
And now it's basically stable at 9,000 checking accounts, and that's kind of, and you can grow out from there. That is very valuable because
disgusting human beings.
Checking is either zero or very low interest, and so it's where the growth we see coming as the deposits grow in consumer that helps produce, irrespective of the market dynamics of the higher at the market price deposits, where you see the impact of the deposit franchise coming.
Just look at it.
Consumer
people sat in their dark cars.
Look, doesn't sound like a lot. But you got to remember a lot of their stuff doesn't
telling you
really
rubbish.
Price, but are they growing that stuff? And each $10 billion of growth in that area is very, very.
You never
important.
see me sat in my car like that.
Got it. That's very helpful. And just as a follow-up, both you and Alistair have, over the course of 2024, started introducing the concept of a normalized net interest margin of 2.3%. With a neutral rate, maybe around 4%. Can B of A get there more quickly, particularly given the deposit dynamics that you mentioned, Brian?
This is not a YouTube channel. This is a YouTube TV network. I was voted by Elton John as the world piano man.
Normalized NIM. So, I'm not trying to seek out guidance in terms of 26 or 27 or whatever, but, you had to have told us that for a reason. And I'm just wondering if the forward curve or what the dynamics are, that would lay out the path to achieve that, over the medium term.
If the Fed funds rate, stays higher, we'll get there faster. It's a simple, because that's obvious because of the sheer volume of low interest. So if we were sitting here in the October, I think when we were talking about that, the amount of rate cuts was still, I don't know how many more, 3 or 4 more than we've had so far. Now we're down to 1. So as it stays at a higher nominal rate, you'll see this adjustment come through. There are 2 caveats to that. One is we're carrying a larger markets balance sheet, which by definition is a little less robust in that area. And then secondly, we're carrying a lot of excess liquidity just because we're running that down, as Alistair said. So during the buildup during the pandemic, we built up a lot of term financing and running off. So all that will help us. But it will go faster.
We'll be the biggest network in the world.
Otherwise say
easily.
Mid last year to now, just because the nominal rate environment stays higher.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Mike Mayo with Wells Fargo Securities.
Here's the link to become a member.
Hi. So you kind of upped your NII guide the next
the call was nearly come to the end.
And, this was the first question asked. So how much is short rates? How much is long rates? But most importantly, how much of this is a little bit more steepness in the yield curve, and what part of the yield curve is most important for that, and what's the sensitivity? You know, for every 10 basis points of additional steepness, that adds.
I will share your comments.
Something along those lines.
I'll show it again.
So, Mike, it's still the short end that drives probably 90% of the sensitivity.
I do like
XRP.
NII. You're a bloody idiot.
Because if you think about it, we just don't have enough fixed-rate assets repricing to really drive NII. In any given quarter,
I'm not your bro, and I do like XRP, and you're a bloody idiot.
$2 billion of CVL repricing, let's call that 10 to 12. You've got, 8 to 10 billion of hold-to-maturity securities repricing.
That's ridiculous.
That's in the context of a $3.3 trillion balance sheet. So it's still the short end that drives most of the NII. So when Brian says, obviously we're helped by the fact that there might be 2 or 3 rate cuts less than there were previously, that's obviously helpful. But the big thing is always for us in terms of year-over-year growth, it's always about deposit growth and loan growth. The fixed-rate asset repricing is, it turbocharges it a little bit at the margin, but it's about deposit and loan growth, and those are the important ones. And getting back to growth now in each of our businesses gives us a stronger foundation leading into 2025 than we had this year when we still had, at the beginning of the year, consumer coming down, wealth coming down. Now that they've found a floor, it's slightly different.
Got it. And then a big picture question, Brian, with the new incoming administration and a different tone as it relates
I will mention everybody
bank regulation.
Because I will prove the point I'm making all the time.
Treasury Secretary
I will expose everybody.
Like to reinvigorate banks. So if you were talking to them and maybe they're listening, what would you like to see changed as it relates to bank regulation? And then a specific question, I know it's going to be tough.
All good.
If you give me any sense, it'd be great. But your CET1 ratio, if you didn't have gold plating, if you had a level playing field, if you took out some of the extraneous, operating risk penalty, how much would your CET1 ratio increase in that sort of world? Thanks.
So Mike, I think your second question brings up the places that our industry, our company have been advocating heavily is that we've had a little bit of a situation from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic where you've seen required capital go up nominally 10, 15, 20%, and not a big change in the risk of the companies. And that's just all this mathematics behind all the accounting, right? And so we're saying, wait, we aren't indexing to GSIB, so therefore our relative size, the economy isn't growing as fast as
that's ridiculous.
It was intended to be indexed on that basis, isn't there?
That's ridiculous.
You've had, as you said, sort of an accretion of sort of methodologies that keep pulling more in, including the stress test volatility that we've all pointed out to them. And then, the last point you make it is if you look at this concept of Basel III, making an equivalent around the world is completely off in a different world because we're using the rest of the world's using advanced. We're using standardized, gold-plated, whatever you want to talk about. It's just apples and oranges. And so, I would never think that we go. If we ever got to Europe, our numbers would be probably, a lot higher. But that's not going to happen because we as a society will have a more conservatively capitalized industry. So, I think it's simply put, if they were to take into account our
coming to the end of the call,
statements,
what's going on?
Clear advocacy about, as an industry, about index of GSIB, take the volatility out of CCAR. How can it change so much in the relatively same scenario? And also, behind the scenes, all the changes in accounting, not accounting, but accounting, for risk. You're increasing capital requirements without any explicit decision to do so. And we think that would be worth, probably up 100 basis points or so if you really sat back and thought about it. How do you get there? Mike, think about our volatility and CCAR outcomes. I think we went, we went up by, 50, 70 basis points last year, whatever it was. The risk in the company didn't change. As a matter of fact, it probably went down, honestly. And so, that's what we're working on. So we want
to will earn less money, but it doesn't matter. We're going quality conversation. Members only, 321.
And good management and making sure there's the regulatory agencies cooperate on things like BSA and AML and things that, everybody's all over the place, and the industry's trying to sort it out in the middle. And we've given them precise points to look at, and we'll see.
There's
what
a member
happens.
link.
All right, great. Thank you.
We'll move next to Jim Mitchell with Seaport Global Securities. Your line is open.
Hey, good afternoon. Maybe just dialing in on the deposit growth. You clearly have been outperforming the peer group, but maybe just want to focus on consumer for a second. You generated 1.1 million of net new checking accounts, which seems best among peers. I think that's showing up in better consumer deposit growth in 4Q. So what do you think you're doing differently that's generating that kind of consistent success in adding new accounts?
Look, at the end of the day, our brand is the best received, in terms of our scores. Our customer service capabilities are scoring at the highest they've ever come. The fairness of our account structures, the transparency, the digital capabilities,
Angel,
it's just
you're
winning
welcome.
in the market. It's in 1 billion net new checking accounts, and not 92%, 90 whatever they are primary. They start with an average balance of 2,000 to 3,000. They move to 7,000, 7,000 over the course of 6 months. This is just a great job done by Dean Athanasia and Aaron Levine and Holly O'Neill that run this business for us. Just continue to drive it. Then on top of that, we've layered in ways with various business lines to help generate accounts. So our work we do.
I'm
with
going to give you news in a minute. The best crypto coin in the world ever.
As a benefit to their employees, helps
and will always be the
extra
best
growth.
crypto coin in the world.
Our ability to do business around the college campuses, which is not huge for the this quarter's growth, but because we are generating the amount of openings at twice the rate of young people exist in society for our customers. 5 years ago, 5 years later, the people out working and they're great customers. So it's a whole bunch of things, and it's relentless and sustainable.
Ferrell has become a member.
And yet we still have lots of ways to grow. And we weren't in. We just entered a lot of markets over the last 5 years. Denver, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, Milwaukee now, Lexington, etc. That's one way. And then if you think about in wealth management, teammates and Katie Knox and
Jared
Lindsay,
Baker has become
and
a
Eric
member.
do a great job there, but we have a lot of room to go where we continue to outfit those clients with a full range of services of Bank of America, and even Merrill Edge has a lot going on there. So there's a fair amount of deposits that come from our Merrill Edge originations, which are 300,000 accounts year over year, and those are all $100,000 starting accounts, not 3,000.
Right. No, that all makes sense. And then maybe pivoting on the expense side, the guidance of 2 to 3% growth, it's kind of a pretty decent step down for what we saw in the back half of the year. So what areas do you see sort of slowing on the expense side, given the, your optimism on organic growth? How do you kind of decelerate the expense growth in 25?
Well, I think
Jerry and Elba, here's the link to the shop if you want to buy one of our mugs.
If we get the year-over-year growth,
links in the chat.
The markets-related businesses, in the high double digits, or
MartynLucasShop.com.
growth, that expense guidance might be a little tight, but again, you would cheer for that. So this is assuming a 5 to 6% growth in the GDP and the S&P type of numbers. So that takes some of the growth pressure off. The aggregate numbers are locked in at a high level and growing from there. And then the second thing is, frankly, just getting a lot of this work behind us and some of the remediation and look backs and things are all completed and behind us. And then third is just keeping the head count and continuing to focus on OpEx and generating capabilities. And so as we stepped into some of these national brand campaigns around some of the major properties we've affiliated with, most recently yesterday, women's soccer, U.S. soccer, including men's and women's teams, FIFA, the Master. These are all things we're paying by just driving other efficiencies. So
Pascal Malikuboy has
for
become
years
a member.
Has gone down in expenses. The idea of growing 2-3 is not that hard a concept, albeit the growth in the back half of this year was a bit driven by the incentive explosion that happened because of the explosion of markets. When they took off, our teammates did a great job of capturing revenue and incentives went.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. Thank you very much.
We'll move next to Vivek Juneja with J.P. Morgan. Your line is open.
Hi. I have two separate questions. First one with expenses. Just want to clarify to the last question, Brian, what you said. So what are you assuming for incentive comp in 25 in your guidance? Is it flat year on year? Are you assuming some increase? Any color on that?
It would grow. It would grow with the markets and stuff, but we have other efficiencies that offset some of that growth.
Okay. Second one, I guess, I can't leave you disappointed. I must, given you and Alistair love NII, so let me ask a little nitty question on that. BSB hedges, since those started to accrete this quarter, how much was the benefit this quarter, and what is the cadence of that as we look out over 25?
So we think about the BSB accreting back into the P&L, kind of like the same way we do with the other cash flow swaps, Vivek. So I'd say a couple hundred this quarter. And then when we give you the guidance with all the cash flow swaps, it's all included in there. So when I say that we think this year Q1 should be up modestly, that is after the $250 million of day count adjustment. And it's including deposit growth, loan growth, and all the cash flow swap activity.
Okay, so that a couple $100 million, that probably, given that it's $1.6 billion to be recovered over a couple of years, that should continue.
So many YouTubers getting attacked now for spreading these false lies.
At least that particular item.
I get so much data sent to me, I can't even process it.
2025, it sort of burns back into the P&L. And then there'll be a little bit in 2026 and a tiny bit in 27.
Thank you, guys.
And then, sorry, if I may, another one. Brian, to your comment on capital, you said you want to keep a 50 basis point buffer, your CET1 at 11.9, 50 basis point 11.2. Is there a plan to go down to the 11.2 at some point and therefore step up?
Can everyone smash the like button? Let's get 1,000 likes.
I wouldn't assume that we're going to take it down through a lot, buybacks in your modeling. It's going to be there to support growth. But Vivek, the simple answer is we got to get a set of rules that quit moving around on us. And once we get them, then we can give you better guidance on that. Because it's just hard to estimate when you could have more excess if they did what we as the industry expect them to do, and then we have a different conversation. Right now, we'll probably grow part of that away through the good work of our team in terms of loan growth and
get yourself an official XRP mug
in the markets business.
License logo. We've got it
in that business. So, so don't expect us to deplete that
Very
ratio
cool.
down quickly, but I'm holding my right to change that if we get the capital levels straightened out of the new rules.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Our next question comes from Matt O'Connor with Deutsche Bank. Your line is open.
Hey, Matt.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question here towards the end. Just if there was some relief on capital, are there areas that you would incrementally lean into? Obviously, without knowing all the rules, it's hard to know for sure, but just are there areas that you're like, if we had that extra 100 basis points, or if it's 50 or 150, you would do a little bit more in some areas than you have been?
Yeah, none of our businesses are constrained because of capital. So if the consumer team had more credit card loan growth that was based on what they think the right risk balance is and getting paid for it, et cetera, that's gone on. You saw us just grow balances last quarter, the auto loans or whatever. And so I think I don't see that. Wealth management, obviously not much of a RWA user in a lot of ways. And then, the real question is in a global banking business, again, if they're getting strong loan growth, there's nothing that we're slowing them down. In the markets business, we continue
all members
to
can call in at the end.
I
hope Sensei's going to call in. Rod's going to call in. Anyone can call in if you are a member.
Jim and the team have done a great job, and we've basically their balance sheet's $300
Live
billion
technicals at the
larger
end.
than it was 4 or 5 years ago, and
we're hoping Sensei can call in.
We've grown through the GSIBs, as you
he will take the lead
2.5
if he does.
to 3, and we'll keep
if he can.
Probably growing through those, and that we use some, but it's
He's
not
on
like
holiday, remember.
we'd say you can't have it because of capital. it's really just running the company, keeping a balance in the overall management of the risk and where we want to take risk and how we do it. And then frankly, it's they come up with business plans, and we've never had to say we don't have enough capital to do that. That's not the issue.
And I guess so. Like depending on how the capital rules are tweaked, it could make some businesses just more profitable, right? So even though you have enough capital to put to those businesses, if the returns aren't making your hurdles, maybe it could with some tweaks. And I've heard some of your peers talk about like equity prime brokerage as one area that could have higher returns if capital requirements are reduced. And again, we don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but do you envision any kind of changes to how you evaluate businesses? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it won't change how we evaluate businesses because regulatory capital is only one of the ways we look at it. We look at the risk and sort of market-based capital and other things. But it could take the sort of, for lack of a better term, a little bit of the penalty to some of these businesses down some. But you also have to remember the ROA and the mix of businesses, and there's another side to this because we have 6% tangible common equity, and we got to produce returns on that, and low ROA businesses affect that. So there are things that will favor it under regulatory capital.
Amelia, you were already
sort
added
of
to
market-based disciplines.
Discord.
So we work through all
you
that.
need to send me a friend request,
I don't expect to
and I'll
see
accept
change in
it
how
now
we do
as a
it,
member.
But also don't think that any of our businesses are constrained because we're not having capital. So if Jim and the team have a chance to go prime brokerage and make it work, in our company, we can have other businesses which have very high ROAs to make up for it. And some other companies, it'd be more important for them because they don't have those other businesses, in relative size of the markets business.
Okay, thank you. That was helpful.
We'll move next to Gerard Cassidy with RBC. Your line is open.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Alistair.
Hey, Gerard.
Brian, hey, we've talked about this in the past, and also with you, Alistair. Obviously, credit quality for you and your peers is very strong. And in view of the rate cycle we just came through, where we went from 0 to plus 5% at the short end of the curve, and really never saw a surge in charge-offs due to rates going up that much. When you guys look at credit quality, is it due to better underwriting standards or sticking to your underwriting standards, or is it your customers themselves, because we all went through the pandemic, are just much stronger balance sheets, more resilient? Well, what would you account for so far that this credit cycle has been fairly benign for you and your peers?
Yeah, it's definitely been benign. I think one thing that hasn't changed, our underwriting strategy, our standards, our risk appetite, our client selection, those really haven't changed, Gerard. But I think you're right. Look, things are obviously different than 2019. 2019, we didn't have this rate structure, so that's a little bit harder at the margin for the consumer. At the same time, consumer's stronger. I mean, we can see that in the deposit balances. We can see it right now in the consumer spending in the 3 to 4% range. We can see it in the balances being elevated over 5 years ago. We can see it in.
You've got Rod on the line doing technical charts for us at the end of the show. Watch it now, sell off.
So, look, 2019 was freakishly low in terms of.
Make sure you can find share my screen, Rod.
But things have settled in
on your screen.
We sort of said a year ago we thought they would plateau.
You should be able to see that.
Where we are.
You've got the same screen as what Senze uses.
4 quarters now with some stability.
On the interview screen.
It feels pretty good on the consumer side. It feels very good still on the commercial side.
If you click share screen now, I'll have 2 camera angles from you.
Unless there's a big change
in
the economy,
you got it.
We think we're going to be around in this 50 to 60 basis points over the course of the next year or so.
Thanks, mate.
Very good. And then as a follow-up, I share your optimism on the outlook for the economy and many of your peers in the capital markets business. I think many investors do. What are the risks? I mean, when you guys sit down at night and, everything's going well, what do you talk about as what curveballs do we have to watch out for? Is it
send friend request again, please?
That changes quickly.
Cancel it and send it again.
Really expecting it? Is it complacency? What are some of the risks that you guys think about?
Well, you have wars and hopefully a resolution of one that's just happening as we speak. But you have wars, you have trade wars, et cetera, that bothers. You have the availability of resource around the world, whether it's physical resource or human resource to do work, and shortages of that because unemployment rates in a lot of countries are pretty low, and so can you get the productivity to keep growing the economy? All the usual things. But if you think about it, Gerard, just to be clear, we've seen a 15-year run, from after the pandemic, after the financial global financial crisis or more.
Big news!
Constantly improving.
POW Group has become a member.
Then
POW has just become a sponsor for our channel
because the stimulus dropped down again and now is back to normal. But that's a long-term trend. So it's not complacency. It's just that how much leverage is building up in the system that there'll be difficulties with either at the household level, at the corporate, at the company level, and then a lot of it's outside the banking system. So we worry about that and how it reverberates into the banking system because just leverage that exists out there that higher levels than we traditionally have given in the banking system still will affect us because that means if people can't carry it, there'll be restructurings of companies and bankruptcies and things like that, which are going on today, but they're going on a level which is very manageable. So we worry about all those things and the federal debt levels and the pinch that will come out of state and federal spending if they need to slow down the growth. All those things are factors which we think about, and the way we manage the company is to run it so that given those events, we can continue to operate. And that's why the stress testing, quite frankly, is a good thing because it makes you think about the Pareto horribles happening, even though they don't happen, and make sure that you are positioned to survive them. And if you said the question Alistair answered, one of the big impacts across time here in the banking industry is because the top 30 institutions are doing stress testing, which assumes that you're wrong in your underwriting, and the economy goes from 4% unemployment to 10% unemployment overnight. Think about the impact of that on bringing the underwriting narrower so that you can afford the capital that you have to hold for that outcome, even though that outcome hasn't occurred.
Stand by to the end.
Technicals
and special guests.
I just think
plus
it's
much
more fundamentally structured, but leverage is going to be the issue. It always is. And you're always trying to find the P. Where's the excess leverage, and how do you make sure you're avoiding it?
No, that's very helpful. Thank you. And Alistair, I liked your comment about when you were talking about the 17 financial centers that you're a growth company.
Show some love for POW Group.
Reflected in the
He's a YouTuber who's become a member, a sponsor member of our channel.
On the P multiple, but I'll let you work on that, Gerard. We'll work on the E part.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And we'll take our final question from Betsy Graysick with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Very smart move, by the
way,
right
afternoon.
at this moment.
Thanks so much for taking my question.
I like his entrepreneurial spirit.
So, Brian, here's the question. Small business optimism is up, and you've got a flat curve at the front end, and so I'm kind of wondering how that feeds into C&I demand. And I'm wondering what your conversations with not only small business, mid-business, corporates, it'd be really interesting to hear how you think they're preparing for this change. Thank you.
Sure, Betsy. So small, medium-sized businesses. So in our business banking category, so we have small business bank, and we have global commercial banking, think middle market. Across that environment, the draw rates on lines of credit stuff are still much lower than they were in a pre-pandemic and things like that. And to your point, the higher interest rate environment affects them most quickly and importantly because they use lines of credit to do things. Buy a piece of equipment, hire some more people, and the payroll dynamics of that, whatever it is. And they might permanently finance that, but immediately they use lines. And the draw rate's 400 basis points over where it normally runs, so to speak, which means that they're drawing at less rate, and that probably means they're doing a little less. And so we haven't seen that move a lot. That's a to-come in terms of loan growth, as Alistair mentioned earlier. But their optimism has changed, and you saw that, and that's really around the other things when you talk to our small business customers, and we made these points to people in Washington is the regulation, the impact, it's hard to do business, hard to get things done. The rules coming out, they don't have the big staffs that we do and other companies do that can deal with all that. And so it all confuses, it slows them down, it makes them hesitate. Their belief is that that's changed, and that's why you see the optimism come up, and then we got to translate that optimism into activity, and then you'll see the loan growth come. But I think it's a quick change, and it's based on their view of how easy it will be for them to get things done, both at a state and federal level.
Yeah, I'm just looking at you.
Stay to the end for technical, special guests, and much more.
That actually has small business loan growth year on year, and I know a lot of that came a couple quarters ago. But with this very sharp increase in small business optimism, I would think that could potentially be something you could benefit from.
No question. And but the real dollar volume of benefit's going to be, the small business loans I think grew, have been growing quarter after quarter, year over year for a good chunk of time now, and we feel good about that. But the dollar volume change in the middle market business from a little more drawing on the lines consistent with what people have done before.
Lots of love for Rod. Very nice.
$200 billion of balance in that business, so it doesn't take a lot to kick it up.
Right, I got that, yeah.
So I think, look, we're the largest lender to small business, and those customers tell us they're optimistic and they see forward. And the issues were I couldn't get enough people, and that's something we got to be careful of. The regulations were hurting me, and then the interest rates. And the interest rates coming down a little bit helps them, and the other two, the strong belief is that'll be more readily available.
Super, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
And it does appear that there are no further questions at this time. I would now like to turn it back to Brian for any additional or closing remarks.
Sure. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. We finished 2024 with good momentum as we enter 25. The economy is resilient and healthy. The consumers continue to spend at a solid and healthy rate. The employment levels are strong. The asset quality we can see is very good. Our loans have now grown for several quarters in a row here. Deposits have grown for 6 straight quarters. The rate environment continues to be constructive. And then the added value in the last couple of quarters is the fee businesses have come on strong given the extra market activity. All that sets us up well for 2025.
Stand by for technicals.
Thank you for your support.
And special guests.
Look forward to talking to you next time.
There we go. There is the call. No information at all about XRP. We're going to have a technical conversation now. We've got a star guest calling in, sharing charts and information. We're going to open the phone lines up. All members can call in, have a conversation. So just as we prepare for that, let's just have a few moments to digest what we've just heard. And I'm really proud the fact that we had so many people call in today, watch today, a really important earnings call. Now, even though you didn't get what you wanted, you didn't get to hear the words XRP, cryptocurrency mentioned on the call. What you did get to learn is Bank of America is a real solid business, and you've learned about the economy. You know GDP is strong, inflation is coming down. Like we said, inflation. The jobs report was not inflationary. CPI was good. PPI was good. It's a great time to be an investor. It's why I went all in. Why I'm all in with margin. $250,000. In fact, $260,000 now I'm invested. Very exciting times, and you should all be very, very happy today that you've tuned in and watched a Bank of America earnings and learned a lot. But now what we're going to do in a few moments, a few seconds, we're going to go over to Rod. Now Rod is known as Powell Group. Hello, another member.
Media 702 has become a member.
Thank you very much indeed. And he's going to present some charts and some technicals. And I'm really proud to have him on the show. As you know, we have another great technical analyst, Sensei, who's our partner in the business. He's a creator with the show as well. And these guys know more about crypto and charts than I'll ever know. What I do is put the show together. I am very good at building an audience, and 98% of our live viewers, our members, more than any channel in the world. 13.8% ladies, more than any other crypto channel in the world. And we're on target within 5 years to have more subscribers than CNBC, Bloomberg combined, way more than Meet Kevin and Graham Stepan. So we're very proud of that. So what I do is put the show on, bring the world together, make connections, and we're trying to grow a network. Not a YouTube channel at all. YouTube Now TV is mainstream. This broadcast is in 4K. Watch us on a big screen and you can enjoy surround sound and quality video. And we're trying to put together a network of about 10 different broadcasters that can take on the show 24 hours a day. So when I'm off air, other people can come on and keep the show going 24 hours a day. They've all got to have the same mindset. All be very professional, all deliver the truth. During that call, I received hundreds, if not thousands of messages via X, Instagram, email of YouTubers going live right now telling you Bank of America have reported XRP was in the call. All of that was complete nonsense. The asset has been pumping. It started to sell when there was no news. However, it's held support. We'll learn from Rod in a few moments what his take on that. We'd love to have Sensei here, but Sensei sends his best wishes and on holiday. And as you can hear, he said Rod will do a great job and we'll have Rod on the show. So thank you very much, everyone. Now, what we're going to do is invite everyone to tap the like button. Please do. Consider subscribing. We've just broke through another milestone, 60,000 subscribers. And we didn't just go through there. We plowed through there like we did. If you look at TubeBuddy and see how our channel's growing, it's outperforming any channel on growth. Look at this. 60,000. Bloody hell. We've gone like 400 subscribers in the last hour. It's bonkers, the rate. We're very proud of that. Thank you so much indeed. Consider joining our family. Now, what we're going to do is we've now brought XRP to a business audience, a Bank of America audience. There were a lot of people here today looking at Bank of America, not XRP, so don't get too carried away, which was great, right? And what we're going to do now is we're going to introduce XRP to a music party audience. So you will see pinned in the chat right now, right at the top, there's a link to an event which is happening tomorrow night, 4 p.m. Central Time. Friday night, we do it every Friday night. This is the wrong thumbnail. I haven't had a chance to make it. I'm going to replace it. But please, everybody click on this. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce XRP tomorrow night. And don't be surprised if people like Brad Garlinghouse tune into this, because this goes to a completely different audience, a party audience who want to see what's going on with the fun around XRP. For those who don't know, I was voted by Elton John as the world piano man. I've done the Phantom of the Opera. I've had my Vegas show. And I'd like everyone now the bloody subscribers are going nuts. Can everyone please click on this right now? I'm going to get the links in the chat. Everyone click on this right now and make sure that you are in tomorrow night, 4 p.m. Central Time, for an XRP party. This will be changed. It won't look like this. You can see what time it goes live in your time zone. Click the bell to remind yourself. Make sure you tap the like and leave a request or a comment in the chat that you would like me to do for you tomorrow night, okay? In the chat here, let's go XRP Army to the moon. We're going to have one hell of a party tomorrow night. I'm going to be drinking, get drunk. I don't care. It's Friday night. We've had a great night and you can all be in on this. Make sure you join us, because if this trends tomorrow night, I'll make a prediction. It will. And when it trends tomorrow night, a whole new audience will learn about XRP. And it will be fun. It'll be exciting. I'll be falling off my chair, drinking beer, doing impressions of different people for you. And it'll be a great, great night. There you go. Make sure that you've done that. Go, Rod. Welcome to sponsor level. Look forward to analysis. Well, what has just happened a few moments ago? Rod, who runs Power Group, great guy. I love Canada. I love his voice. He should be more of his voice. Sometimes he uses a different voice to present it. He should do it all himself. He's a great character, great personality, and he's just made the step. And may I say, it's a very wise move, actually. He's just done this. Let me show you. Look what he's done in the last couple of seconds. Rod said yesterday on the show he'd like to be considered to be part of our network rather than just another YouTuber in competition, to be part of the family. So look what's happened. This is the main channel right now, where you're watching right now. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Scroll down, featured channels. Well, of course, you see myself. You see the extra channel, the music channel. Sensei doesn't broadcast, but he has his own channel. He doesn't broadcast. He does it all here, 100% of what he does. And what we have here, we have a new sponsor. This is $99 a month, folks, to be a sponsor. You cannot, and it's been tried. I've had big corporations try to buy the show, and you can't.
Karai has become a member.
Only viewers and members of the family can be sponsors of this channel. Powell Group, Rod, has just sponsored our channel. It's $99 a month to sponsor the channel. And then you are on the homepage of our channel, right at the top, so everyone can see you, and you live there. And as a sponsor, every day, I will drop your show into my live stream. Doesn't matter that he has his own channel and technically competition. We don't have any competition here. What are you talking about? All right, we're a family. So what I'm going to do right now is invite everyone to subscribe to Powell's channel. He's supporting our channel. That $99 a month will go into making this studio even better, getting more creators on the show, upgrading our services, making us mainstream TV, and we will beat all TV channels and CNBC and Bloomberg combined. So for part of that mission is support our sponsors, because all that money goes into that mission. It doesn't go to me. I don't just spend this money. I don't need the money. I don't do anything. So everybody, there you go. There is Powell's channel. There you go. Oops, a daisy. I've dropped it into the chat. He's now a sponsor. He gets me promoting him like this every single day. All right? Every day. That's not bad. He's smiling, thinking, this is the best $99 I've ever spent. You could have bought a load of fake followers and subscribers, or real investors that love what you do. It's a good idea, really, isn't it? Now, I could charge 10 times this amount, but I don't. I make it so everyone can afford it, and it's just a way to support our members and our viewers. Honestly, I could. The amount of people that have said to me they'd sponsor my channel for $100,000, seriously, and I turn it all down. I'm not interested. Right, 8.55. I'm going to give it 1 minute, and I want to see that go to 8.56. That means he's gained 10, which would be pretty rubbish, considering there's 1,000 watching, all loving what he does. So let's see what happens. 8.55. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 8.55. 8.56. There we go. He's gone up 10 straight away. Let's do that again. Come on, everybody. Would everybody please do it? I want to see him get to 10,000 live on the show. That's not going to happen, but you never know. 8.56. Support one of our members, one of our viewers. I don't care what you think. You always support our members, because we all support each other. That's what a network is. All right? The link's in the chat. I'm going to give it to you again. And then we're going to go live to his technical analysis, all right? And invite everybody else in as well. There you go. Whoopsie daisy, I think I broke it. There you go. Try that again. There you go. 1, 2, 3. So he's gained 10. Let's gain another 10. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 8.56, 8.56, 8.56, 8.58. Hey, get in. That's 30. That's 30. Just like that. Boom, get in. We'll leave it for now. We're not going to spend a whole day on this, but this will live on the homepage of our channel. And not only will you see Rod every day featured in our channel from now on as a sponsor, he can call him whenever he wants, be part of the show, say hello, and all the rest of it. So, shall we bring him on the show? Why not? If anybody else wants to call in, the phone line is open at martynlucas.com/live. Here's the link once again. Our password is Lucas8, uppercase L, uppercase A, case sensitive. We are changing that to stop all these bloody idiots trying to phone in and ruin everything. Bloody idiots. Or, why do they even bother? Not going to win, are they? Thanks for all the subs, says Powell. Much love. Well, you can tell him yourself now as we bring him into the show. So there you go. Powell, Rod. And by the way, just to make it absolutely clear, when I say, all these baseball cap wearing, sunglasses, sitting in dark rooms, just to prove the point, I've got nothing against people who wear baseball caps. I've got a few of my own, which I really enjoy wearing. I'm going to put one on. And in fact, for the first time ever, I'm going to be a proper YouTube bro. I'm going to wear it like that. How are you, Rod? Good to see you, mate. Oh, did I mute you? Have I muted you? There you go. Try that again.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Sounding good. How are you, mate?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'll take this off. It doesn't suit me. It suits you. It doesn't suit me. I look like an old man wearing a cap that my son let me borrow. I look an idiot. Let's take it off. I love yours, by the way. XRP. Very nice. Thank you for supporting the channel. We'll do everything we can to support you, and you will grow. And I've always said you do a great job. I'd love to see more of you. Big face on the screen, your character, your voice. That's what's important. You know that. I told you that the other day. Yep. Anyway, let's talk about it. Bank of America, no information about XRP, not a rumor. However, didn't stop a load of idiots saying they've reported it. I was getting texts from everyone all over the place saying it's over here, it's over here. The good news is, of course, as they came to the end of the call, it started to sell. Everyone was thinking, oh my God, is it going to crash? I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? And in a minute, you'll share some charts. What's your reaction, first of all, of what we've seen today?
Well, hardly a crash. It's the highest price since 2018. We're hitting new all-time highs compared to what we've seen on most exchanges. There's some levels in the 380s, but on average, that 331 was the all-time high. So we have broken that level. And, I was very skeptical with the Bank of America call. I didn't know if they were going to... I didn't think it was the most likely scenario that they would mention any kind of Ripple or XRP news. And the reason for that is we still have the SEC case ongoing, especially yesterday when the SEC continued to push this can down the road as long as they can. And, Gary Gensler was on CNBC basically spouting, all the same clown comments that he's been saying where, he wants to reverse the decision on XRP. That's not even in the appeal. That in and of itself cannot be reversed. XRP in and of itself is not a security. So, we'll see what happens. But as of next week, I would say there's a good chance that it gets completely dismissed. So that would...
it's quite a measure of the character of Gary Gensler. I was hoping better from him, to be honest. We covered it live, the live interview, farewell interview on CNBC. We were live for that event and we covered it. And he was saying goodbye, and he seemed to be coming across as a fairly decent guy. And yet, a couple of days later, moments before he leaves, he has another go at it. It's like he's got a personal vendetta against this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it just looks really bad. And I've never really been a hater of him because I'm not really concerned about that. But he's really made himself look a bit of an arse, to be quite honest. He's very unpopular amongst the community, right?
Yeah, well, it reminds me when Trump said, I'm going to be firing him the first day in office, day one, fire Gary Gensler, and the whole crowd went wild. And he's like, let me say it again. I didn't know he was that unpopular. So,
but of course, he can't fire Gary Gensler. You can't fire the chair. Nah. You can't fire the chair and all these other things. But of course, Donald Trump likes to say he can. He fires everybody up. Be entertainment. Anyway,
they can demote him to a chair, but they can't technically fire him. He has to either willingly step down, which he has said he's going to resign. So
yeah,
a new day is coming.
So you want to share a chart with me, is that right? You want to talk about it? Right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to assign you over here to this position here and take you full screen. I don't know if you want to put your camera in the top right-hand corner. You can do that or not. It's entirely up to you. Do what you feel is right for you. But talk to us. Rod, what are we looking at here? I think we should be able to hear you. I don't know why you're muted. Let me just see. You've got no audio coming through at the moment. I should hear you, but I don't. So I wonder if I can assign you to guest 2. Talk to me, Rod. Right. For some reason, I've got you muted. Let me just try something. This is the same setup we have with Sensei, but obviously everyone uses it slightly different. Let me see how I can fix this. Just bear with me. We'll find a way to fix this. I don't know why. It should bring your audio in when you when you do this, when you share the screen, but for some reason it's not. If I bring you back to here, right? Just talk to me. And I can hear you on this one, but for some reason, when you share screen, it should say, somewhere on the settings, it say enable audio, and it'll enable your audio to come over the top. We'll fix it now, but what we'll do, off air one day, we'll have a little go through this and we'll try to improve on it so we can make it work better. But we will get this working for now. What I might need to do is just go to, if I assign you here, assign to guest 1, do that. Yeah, it's for some reason, there's no audio assigned to this feed. So what we'll do is I'll go over to Solo, and then I will also bring in your other camera as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another camera over the top. That way I can have the audio. That'll make it work. So there you go. I'm just creating a little scene for you. Camera link 1, and I'll call this guest 1. Oh, look at you.
There we go.
There you go. So I'll resize you. There you go. There you go. I'm creating your stream. What's going on here? There we go. As long as it works.
You still hear me?
We can hear you beautifully now. Look, see, now you're looking really good. There we go. I'll put you there. It's not perfect, but it'll do for now. And you look better than Sensei now. Look, see, I've done it. See, right. Talk to me, Rod.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So you can see the screen here. This is the 30-minute time frame. So we'll start on some of the lower level time frames. I mentioned yesterday in one of your live chats on your videos that we had a 4-hour bull flag. So we'll take a look at that in a moment, but that was looking at a target of about $3.33. And typically with technical analysis, it's not a guarantee, right? It's just probabilities and odds of it playing out. So the more patterns, indicators, signals that we have kind of singing the same tune, the more, we have different patterns pointing to the same outcome, the more we're going to put weight behind that as the most likely scenario. So if we have multiple indicators, if we're tracking, 10 indicators and patterns, and 8 out of 10 are showing, higher prices, and they're all staying around, $3.30, that's called confluence. So we want to try to find as much of that as possible. So one example of that here is on the 30-minute time frame. You can see here we had an ascending triangle forming, which is just a bullish continuation pattern. It's a series of higher lows and a horizontal line of support, and generally that breaks to the upside. And to get your measured move, you would just go to the apex there, move it out to your horizontal line of resistance, and that gives you your measured move. It was saying about 338, and the high of the bounce was 340. So we pretty much bang on hit that on the 30-minute time frame. On the hourly time frame, we had, actually, no, it was the 4-hour time frame that we had the bull flag. So I'll just get rid of a couple of these shorter time frame levels here. I'll show you the 4-hour bull flag. So if we zoom out here and get our fib tool, you just go from the low to the high there. And anything above that 0.32 fib level would be a 4-hour bull flag. And then you just take your measured move, which goes from the low to the high, and move it out to your 0.382 fib. And that was saying about $3.33. So again, that's an example of confluence, multiple pattern signals showing the same outcome. And like I said, that 330 area was previous all-time highs, and not a whole lot of support there. The order book is resistance, not a whole lot of resistance there. The order book is pretty thin, all the way up to about $4. So we were expecting 333 from the 4-hour bull flag. That confirmed once we broke the high of the bounce there at 289. And also 290 was the key level to break for the weekly bull flag. So if I just zoom out here, get rid of a couple of patterns here. And also, before I jump into the weekly bull flag, we did have this pennant that was forming. We've had multiple pennants actually that have been forming. And you can see here we avoided the EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, but we came down, held support perfectly. And then 3 times resistance, resistance, resistance. Third time it broke. And then we even came back down, back tested it, closed above, confirmed old resistance as new support. So technical analysis 101. And then the real exciting, most of all, is the weekly bull flag. So this is a huge bull flag here on the weekly time frame. And we just take our measured move. Actually, this is the monthly, sorry. Go to the weekly. You can see here, reset this chart. We had a brief higher low here. And again, similar to the lower level time frame that we just looked at on the 4-hour, You would just take your low to the high of the bounce. We know that is the high because we didn't lose the low of the previous candle. So every single candle was just a higher low. So once we finally broke here on Monday, December 9th, we finally started weekly consolidation that marked our higher low forming. So then that gives you your low, your high, your higher low, and the higher low held the 0.382 fib there perfectly. And then we were looking for continuation. So a bull flag is just a bullish continuation pattern, and generally about a 38% retracement from the high of the bounce. If we pull back any more than that, then you would expect a tightening range and a type of equilibrium pattern. And this is prime for, like I said, that bullish continuation. So we had our low, high of the bounce there at 290. Once we held our higher low there at the 0.382 fib, came back, broke resistance at 290, that confirmed it. And again, you just take your measured move there from the low to the high, move it out to your 0.382 fib. And this measured move is saying $11.71.
Oops, sorry. Sorry, you caught me right at the end there. I was reading and writing, and then you came back to me and then stopped talking. You completely lost me. I apologize. That was terrible. So now I've created this little scene, so I got to just keep moving you around for a minute now. Hang on a minute.
Getting dizzy over here, though.
It's getting busy. Let me just hide that a minute and take it back to what do I want to do now? Now I'm confused now what I want to do. I want to go back to put you back in the green room now. Yeah, put that back in the green, return to the green room. So we should be good. Now if I just go to, I'll just hide that one for the moment. Just creating a new little thing here, folks. Just please bear with me. Where was it? That's the one I want to hide just for a moment. There we go. And then make you guest number one again. There we go. Good. Thank you ever so much for that, Rod. You see, we can work it out. We can get it fixed. That's very interesting. Very good. I wonder what Sensei has. Sensei, did you pay any attention to that there? Are you in the chat at all? Are you listening to any of that? So where do we see it? Where do you, I know you can't make a prediction. Nobody can. But are you still, you've got a very bullish target price for this. Yeah, very. So what are you saying by the end of January, 6 months out, a year out? What are you saying?
End of January, I think we could be around that $4 to $6 area. We only got a couple of weeks left realistically in this month, so I would say $4 to $6, very doable. February, I think we could be anywhere from $7 to $11, and then I think March is going to be full blown alt season where we could see anywhere from $14 to $16 on XRP. I've done a video on that explaining my reasons, and if you want me to bring up my chart again, I'd be happy to do that and show some additional.
Yes, please do. I'll go back. Sure. I'll go back to here, and what we'll do, we'll take this to. I'm doing this manually now because I haven't saved it, but let me just do this. Now, we can't hear you, but I need to bring you back in again. So where did I create that camera? Where did I create the camera? Oh, dear me. I think it was it this one here? Was it this one here? Oh, I can't remember now. Here we go. No, not that one. There you go. That should work. There you
hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. So again, going back to what I was saying earlier, we want to have as much confluence as possible. And, this isn't me coming on here and saying, I think the price is going to go to this price because of reasons, right? It's my opinion, or, I think that the price should be at this level. So I'm looking at a series of technical analysis indicators and patterns and forecasts, whether it be Elliott wave, whether it be Fibonacci, whether it be, looking at Bitcoin and boom and bust cycles. Also factoring in some of the fundamentals, right? If we really think about it, XRP just hit a new all-time high, according to most exchanges. Once we get above 380, once we get into the 390s, $4, that's going to be completely new all-time high territory that we've never seen before on any exchange. FOMO's going to kick in. Like I said, the order book is very, very thin. So you have to think, forget about the technicals, right? Just think of all the bullish catalysts that have yet to happen. We haven't seen RLUSD expand to other fiat currencies like the yen, which very well could happen. We could see a British pound tokenized as well. You're going to see a resolution in the case eventually with the SEC. You're going to see an XRP ETF, right? BlackRock's probably going to get in. to the fray. You're going to see more Bank of America news. You're going to see more partnerships. There's so many things, tax-free crypto, like all of these catalysts still have yet to occur. So just from a fundamental standpoint, and that's just me mentioning a few, there's so much more catalysts that I did not mention. But that was just from an underlying fundamentals perspective. But if we take a look here at the chart.
Also, isn't it worth just mentioning though at this point, because a lot of people are, up a long way. We bought this at 33 cents originally when I first bought it. I sold it for the reasons I've given many times. But like there are people who are up 500, 600% right now. And we worked out this morning, it's about 30 years of the S&P, if you think about that, of the 500 best companies in the world. Is it not wise to take some money off the table? You've basically performed what most people will do on the S&P in a working lifetime already in months. Would it not be worth taking some profit off the table? There are people just holding forever, thinking it's going to go to $1 million. I mean, aren't you already rich enough? And how will you feel if it does go back down or there's a big correction? What's your thought on that? Bearing in mind, people are listening to what we're saying here. It's really important.
Right. Yeah, and it's not financial advice, right? Don't take anything I say, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because no two-person situation is going to be the same, right? Everybody has a different buy-in price. Everybody has a different average. Everybody has a different amount of capital that they have added. They have different net worths. We all have different time horizons and risk tolerances and investor profiles. So you have to, kind of look at, maybe grab like 6 or 7, get the consensus, right? Look at 6 different YouTube channels or something like that. Look at a few different chartists and do some research and see what the average consensus is out there. And is that something that you're going to be able to live with, right? We can't time the top. So at the end of the day, have a long-term bag. That's what I always say. Have a long-term bag, have a Tangent wallet. That's what I recommend. I've got 2 of them. I've actually got the Ring as well. It's amazing. Get a hardware wallet, throw it on there, lock it in, and set and forget it, hold it for the long term. And then that way, if you sell your shorter term bags, you still have that long term position. Obviously, your long term account's probably going to be a lot less capital, and you're just going to be basically hoarding it and hodling long term. And I do the same pretty much for all of my investments. But if you've got an average price of $2 or $1, well, you might want to wait for $10 plus before you start to take any profit. But personally, I have an average of around 42 cents, and I'll be looking to take my first initial investment out at $4 USD. So, definitely a good idea to lock in profit, take money off of off the table. But everybody's situation, I can't really comment on it specifically. I know I'll be taking money off of the table at $4 USD. So, again, don't follow what I do, but that's just my own prerogative, and I'll be sharing my thoughts and opinions in different videos. But
yeah, I think that's very honest, very wise.
Yeah,
very sensible. Because we asked everyone this morning, and it was about 50-50. I said, how do you sleep at night? See, my position is I'm in the S&P. If it goes down, I just buy more. And I just keep earning more money from my YouTube channel and just keep investing more. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm buying in margin because I'm extra bullish, and then I'll spend the next year or so paying down the margin. So it's fine. But the thing is, I don't have to sell, because I'll always earn dividends on that. The businesses aren't going bust. The rubbish businesses will fall out of the S&P and new ones come in. We've just seen Palantir come in, and so it goes on and so forth. And I'm always going to be up long term, and I don't have to sell, and then eventually I can borrow against it. However, with a speculative asset, which XRP is, of course, I'd be much more excited about buying Ripple when it IPOs. That to me would be something I would like to see, and maybe that'll enter the S&P one day and I'll have it by default. But how do you sleep at night? Because we all know it can drop 50-80% in minutes. It could, and I would feel pretty stupid if I was up 35 years of S&P gains, and by the time I wake up in the morning, that's all gone down the toilet. So I think it's responsible to say people need to take profit, because no one knows how high it's going. I know, as an XRP fan, if you like, you want to see it go on forever. I mean, Michael Saylor's always saying, do not sell your Bitcoin. Well, it's not good advice. It's good for him. He says that. It's not good for the average viewer, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to remind everybody, right, in 2017, we pulled back about 68% before we saw the final fifth wave and blow off top in 2018. And XRP actually passed Ethereum in market cap during that time frame. And not a lot of people know that, but I'm up in some accounts. I'm up over 500% on XRP. In some accounts, I'm up 10x about that so far on my XRP investment. But it's just hitting a new all-time high. It's been 7 years since it hit a new all-time high. It's not just going to stop at $4 or $6, in my opinion. I don't even think it'll stop at $10. Like they say, the longer the base, the higher in space. And I've never seen a chart consolidate that long before. And you're finally just starting to see people wake up to the opportunity as well, right? Like tons of Bitcoin maxis are apologizing. The mainstream media isn't even pumping it yet. They're still calling it Ripple. It's XRP. People conflate the two all the time. I share your same sentiment that I want to own Ripple private equity, right? You can buy Ripple shares. You can buy it on Link2, but you have to be accredited. So you'll have to check your jurisdiction and what it takes to be an accredited investor. Usually it's about a net worth of $1 million or a collective household income, I think, of around $200,000 for the last couple of years. So not many people fall in that bucket. So you'd have to wait for an IPO for Ripple's initial public offering. But typically by then, right, we know that the price is probably going to, like Coinbase, it's going to be in the hundreds of dollars, and then it'll IPO and then there'll be a sell-off, right? So I personally want to try to get Ripple private equity before it goes public, but time is definitely winding down. But personally, I think XRP is going to be the most valuable digital asset on the planet, outpacing Bitcoin, not the price, but the market cap. And then also, I think Ripple will become the most valuable company in the planet. I think it will outpace Saudi Aramco. I think it'll pass Google, Amazon, Facebook, you name it.
Woo, 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 woo. Well, you are extremely bullish, and the very best of luck to you. What's your thought? I asked Senzo this a few weeks ago. We had a debate, and I'll give you a spoiler. He agreed with me, but you don't have to agree with me. You could say, don't agree with that at all, please. And I know you'll feel free to do so. So Sensei spends his time studying charts, and he talks to people in projects as well. He doesn't just study charts. He goes to the meetings where managers present and he talks to people behind the scenes. I spend my time talking to hedge fund managers, CEOs off air when I'm not interviewing, try to get a flavor for the economy, where it's going. And that's what I do. And what I've gathered from those conversations is that most of the real money, the big money, the important people that move everything, say to me, in the future, 10 years or so, maybe less, maybe longer, 99% of crypto won't exist. You'll have your Bitcoin, you'll have your store of value, you'll have XRP Ripple, because we believe that's the way the payment systems are going to work, and there'll be a few other things. But once the general gold rush is over, no one's panning for gold and smashing each other to get to the river to dig out the gold. You just buy gold on an ETF now. It's all very grown up and very boring, and it's not exciting anymore. It's not speculative gambles anymore. It's just good, solid investment. Do you agree that the time will come when all of this will go away and there will be a few good technologies, like I've just mentioned, and most of it will be gone, or not? Or do you think it'll all still be there and we'll all be doing this to forever?
No, I agree. I think it'll be a dozen or two that will end up surviving long term. 99, I agree with that sentiment as well. 99+% will go the way of the dodo, right? It'll cease to exist, and there's just not that many needs. Like there's no need for that, right? I talk about it in my MJ videos as well. We don't need 1,000 producers all doing the same thing, right? If you look at the alcohol industry or the tobacco industry, it's usually, and we talked about this on some of my interviews with CEOs, it's usually a dozen or a couple dozen companies that run the industries that they're in. And, it doesn't mean that there can't be some small, micro caps and things like that. Like if you look at the alcohol segment, right, you've got your craft breweries, right? You've got your small niche markets, which there's always going to be that. But, from a conglomerate perspective, there's usually going to be, a handful or two major ones that run the industry. And I don't think it'll be any different with crypto.
Okay, so other than charts, as you talked about the consolidation period and all these other things about where you see it going, take charts off the table. If you've never looked at a chart, and I don't care, I think we'll all have to agree to disagree perhaps, but charts show us what happened in the past, and then we base upon what might happen in the future based upon what happens in the past. I don't like investing like that. I don't invest like that. I want to know what the business is earning and is it still earning, and is it making money, and is the economy strong, and is interest rates going up or down? That's what I buy. That's how I invest in the S&P, right? And macro conditions, when certain events occur, wars and so on, to buy more. So taking off the table what the chart is telling you, because at best it's an educated guess, educated but still a guess of what the future will bring. What are the fundamental reason to back up what the chart says? Because I've been having lots of people say in the chat today, it's all about the charts. It's all about the charts. And it's like the charts cannot tell you the future. They only suggest based upon the past. That's not, for me, a way to invest. What is fundamentally the main reason why you see XRP not only surviving, outperforming surviving other crypto assets, but doing so well so you're able to hold and you're that confident? Fundamentally, what is the reason? I know what that reason is for me, but I want to hear from you.
Fundamentally, it's hard to just pick one.
If you had no chart to look at.
Yeah, no, I understand the question. It's just hard to pick one. I mean, it's the internet of value, right? It's the internet of money. It's the next iteration of the internet. And we've seen what the internet of information has done, and look at how much wealth has been created, and these $1 trillion corporations. Well, money runs the world. So, and all of these $1 trillion corporations are accepting payments, and it's going to affect every single aspect of the economy. And like I said, money runs the world, and the internet of value, I think, is going to completely dwarf the internet of information. But fundamentally, XRP has changed the speed of which it transacts. It's basically opening up financial inclusion. It's a way for these countries and sovereign entities to transact with one another without having to trust one another. So I think that is huge in and of itself, because it's open source. It's just alphanumeric code. Everybody can contribute, and nobody controls the network, right? So it's decentralized, and like I said, you don't have to trust you don't have to trust the country that you're doing business with. But from another perspective, from a tokenization perspective, like I was just doing some research on this before, but the RWA, so real world assets, being tokenized. Imagine, there's so many issues right now with mortgages and land titles and the real estate market. Imagine if we were able to tokenize, and an example of this was, I think, when there was an arena for sale. I can't remember if it was in the NHL or in the NBA, but essentially imagine if you were able to tokenize, Madison Square Garden, and you could sell, just like you can now buy fractionalized ownership of paintings and fine art. Well, you can buy like one share of this art piece, right? Or you can buy one share or 10 shares of Madison Square Garden. And that is going to be huge opportunities. And if you just take a look at some of what, Google and some of the trends are saying, and statistics, it says that on average in 2020, the value of the world's real estate market was around $326 trillion. So even if XRP, were to tokenize that, and even get 1% of that would be huge. Eventually, we're going to see stocks tokenized, right? So we're already seeing companies fractionalizing and trading, shares of Tesla. You can buy 0.1 shares of Tesla or 0.01 if you want. And then you're going to be able to trade it 24/7. And eventually the stock market, there'll be no opening and closing bell. There'll be no more being able to having to wait until Monday on the weekend to go to the bank to send money, right? It'll just be 24/7, 365, always on. There'll be no opening and closing bell. It'll be 365. Like I said, always on market, just similar to what we're seeing right now in crypto. So those would be the major reasons why. Like I said, it's hard to pick just one.
Interesting points. I've got a couple of points there. First of all, the market is open 24/7, 7 days a week to some people, not to everyone. So it already exists. Yeah. It's just we can't all access it. Thanks to Robinhood, more of us get more of that now, 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. So it's getting better, but that already exists. So, that we need to just mention that. But when you talked about, this was an interesting point you made there, when you talked about tokenization and you talked about, if we only get 1% of that worries me, because a lot of people look at that and a lot of people repeat that argument. I see it all the time. People, because people send me stuff that's being said by other people, and I look at it and I go, okay, I try to sort of question it. And this is something that happens a lot when people go on Shark Tank. Have you ever watched Shark Tank? Right. Well, Mark Cuban, I played in his house, so I asked him this question. I did play the piano. I did a gig for him, and Mark Cuban said he cannot stand. And one of the things they hate the most is when someone walks in the tank and they say, "The iPhone business is $1 trillion, bazillion dollars, and if I can only get 1% of it, we're a bazillion, trillion millionaires." Okay, well, I'm just joking around, right? But it's the worst thing, because the bigger the market and the bigger the opportunity, the harder that 1% is to get anyway. Just because Coca-Cola and the soft drink business is massive, you won't ever get a single bottle of a soda or a soft drink on their shelves. If I only had 1 inch right at the end next to Coca-Cola, I'd be a millionaire. You're never going to get it, because that competition is so hard to get into. That worries me when people say that.
Yeah, I think the difference there, though, is like they're not really solving anything new, right? It's not a new problem. So I would agree, if you come into an established industry, then they're not really solving a problem. It's just they're selling sugared water. So there's no real reason to buy it for a problem. It's just luxury, right? People like it. Whereas with regards to tokenization and real estate, like there's a lot of issues with people forging land titles and kind of creating that fraud. And there's no company right now, like we're already seeing Ripple's already tokenizing and working with different governments, tokenizing real estate assets. Like this is already happening. And there's no other company that I'm aware of that's doing it. There might be a handful, but like we're at maybe the 1% penetration of that. Like look at Coca-Cola, right? It's dominating that part of the economy, right? Like the soft drink segment. So to come in now, I would agree, like to say 1%, that's just kind of silly, but there's no one really capitalizing on this right now. And it's a huge problem that we don't have a solution to yet. And blockchain solves that. Without blockchain, there's really no solution to it. And fractionalized ownership, right? So I think, obviously you don't want to come in and say, even if we get 1%, and bank on that, but that's just one aspect of what Ripple's trying to do and a problem it's trying to solve. And then you look at, cross-border payments, you look at the stablecoin market, all of these things have tremendous upside, and we're really just getting started. So,
what in your mind, because the big question then is why XRP Ripple? Because everybody wants, right down to stupid things like Fartcoin and Pepe. They all want to go, pick us, let us be the banking system. What gets the money, the real money? The old men sitting smoking pipes in the corner, and I know I've got lots of those sort of friends. Spoke to one last night. Yeah. For him to say, "All right, we'll use Ripple then."
Yeah.
What?
Well,
how? What?
XLM is doing a similar stellar Lumen, so they can do tokenization, smart contracts. All of these things are, it's not like there's nobody else trying to do it, but there's no clear leader right now is what I mean. But we also need the whole ecosystem, right? It's not just going to be one coin to rule them all or one company. There's, we need the whole, if we're going to change how money works, to quote David Schwartz, who's the co-creator of XRP Ledger and chief technology officer at Ripple, he said, we need the whole ecosystem if we're going to change how money works. The new financial system needs the whole ecosystem, right? And like I said, it's probably going to be a dozen or a couple dozen, and you've got some different projects focusing on different things, like Filecoin with its decentralized file storage. You've got XRP with payments token, etc. Link, which is an Oracle Chainlink. You've got Flare token as well, which is looking to bring smart contracts to certain chains that don't already have it. XRP, you're eventually going to be able to take advantage of DeFi with the Chainlink partnership, so you'll be able to earn rewards on your XRP. So kind of like what you were saying with the S&P 500, you're able to lend it out, borrow against it. similar things will happen with XRP, where eventually you'll be able to stake your XRP and you'll be able to earn rewards, which essentially gives you more XRP just for holding XRP. So there'll be that aspect as well. But yeah, there's going to be multiple companies. I think Stellar and XLM will be big into tokenization. I think HBAR is another one as well. So I think, they'll all kind of work hand in hand, and we're already seeing where, Ripple's partnering with Chainlink to bring DeFi and expose that to make RLUSD even bigger than it already is, right? So I think now is where you're going to really start to see the industry kind of work together. And Hedera, Algorand, and Ripple have all expressed interest of working together. Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson, who also co-creator of Ethereum, said he wants to work with Ripple to bring the RLUSD to their Cardano network. So it's like I said, it's really just starting to gain momentum.
This is a fascinating conversation. I've had a wonderful many hours with Sensei, and this is really fascinating talking to you as well. It's a different conversation, some different angles look at it, but equally it is fascinating. So I'm really enjoying this. I do have Safa in the chat. I see you there. Did you want to just give me a yes if you actually wanted to ask Rod a question, or if you wanted to just wanted to be part of the show? You had a comment. Can you give me some idea what it was? Just wave if you had a question for me or Rod, and nod your head. You do. You have a question. All right, I'll bring you in a second then. Fantastic. You can talk directly to Rod. So, Rod, have you got time to stay on? Somebody wants to ask you a question. Wonderful. Yep. Okay, this is great, because now I'm going to pose another question to you, and let's see what Safa says when he tunes in. Fascinating to this, what you said there, but
sure.
And if this gets difficult, it does, right? We're unscripted. We say we everything's on the table, right? You just said, when I said to you, take away charts, what's the fundamentals? And you gave me a few examples of the things that you feel are the trump cards for XRP. But then you also said, there's many others that do it, and many others that do this and do that, and we're going to need them all to come together, and so on and so forth. Take your time, mate. You're just resetting up. You're good.
Yeah, my headset's just hurting my ear.
I know that happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stand wearing headsets. It makes me ears ache. So I've got a monitor system down the walls. Yeah.
I've got another mic here, but I can't.
Wow, that sounds way better. That sounds way better. Why don't you use that? That was brilliant. Why don't you use that?
Oh. Is it actually working?
Oh, yeah.
Testing.
Oh, my God. The quality is a million times better.
Oh, was it? It might have been coming through that the whole time. I did switch my my microphone at the beginning.
That's much better. Now
back.
you sound like a big radio show now. Welcome to the midnight show. You sound like that now. One of those late night hosts,
Can you still hear me? Does it still sound good?
Yeah, sounds awesome. 1,000 times better.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm liking that.
Awesome.
There you go. Anyway,
I can still hear you in my headset, and we got the multi-$100 microphone here. So
you might want to point the diaphragm towards your mouth, though. You're talking to someone who lives and breathes microphones, Neumann microphones, hand built. I know a little bit about microphone. I watched mine get built in Germany, so the diaphragm's built in the center of that, not at the side of it. I don't know why a lot of YouTubers talk on the side. You know those gangsters in all the movies back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, if you were a bad guy, you got your gun and you shot it like that. Remember all the bad guys in the movies? They did that like that. And in the 90s, they started going on the side like that, right? And in the 2020s, we get people talking sideways into their microphones. I've no idea why.
Mine, it's a physical constraint. Is
that what it is?
I guess it's the boom arm. Yeah, it doesn't want to go that way, so I might have to get a different boom arm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It works. Anyway, so I want to say, and you said this, you said many other people could do different things, you never come together. Now, that would scare me as an investor, because if I was standing in Shark Tank right now, right, and there was a time when I was going to be on Dragon's Den, which is the English version of Shark Tank. It's quite funny, though. The English version is in a little shed, right, in a little shed. The production value of America's this massive stadium, right. Anyway, in the English version of a little shed, I was going to be on Dragon's Den pitching my One Night in Vegas show. I didn't need it in the end, but I was going to go on it. But the point is, and having spoken to Mark about this, if you go on a Shark Tank and they say to you, "Oh, this XRP sounds good. If you've got any other competition, well, there's loads of other crypto coins you could do it." They would tell you to get out of the tank in about 3 seconds. Real money, real investors will say, "Get out the hell on your bike, mate." So we got to bring that into the conversation because you've just said that, right? So how do you hold forever? And I know you've responsibly said ladder out, take some profit, get your seed money out. So you have said that. That's on the record, which is great. But you've also said other people could do it. That scares the shit out of me, if I'm honest, as an investor.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing comes with I get the same question with MJ stocks a lot. And to quote some of the CEOs, they always anybody can grow the plant, MJ, right? That's the easy part. The hard part is making it into something special, right? So that's why I think the beverages are going to be huge. But with regards to crypto, it's anybody can do it. Yes, there's a dozen probably that are doing smart contracts or tokenization, right? So who's going to be the leader? It's probably going to end up being the one who's in the back rooms, behind the closed doors, having meetings with the world elites, right? That's
definitely what will happen. That's 100% what will happen.
And that's what's happening with Ripple. Ripple's meeting with the BIS. They're meeting with the IMF. They're meeting with Trump, right? They've just met in Mar-a-Lago and had dinner. And Chief Legal Officer Stuart Alderodi there was some news coming out or some speculation. People were kind of lifting up the hood a little bit, kind of dissect that. What did he mean by, the bourgeon or whatever however it's pronounced? You might know what it is. But it's like a dish that you serve after a big contract is signed is typically what it is. And everybody was kind of wondering, why was he talking about this beef stew looking thing? And they just met with Trump. Why were they there? They were probably there to discuss something to do with, being on the crypto council or finding some sort of deal with regards to the SEC lawsuit. So maybe it had to do with something with the strategic reserve, adding XRP to that list, right? So there's so many things that it could be, but that's a great interpretation of what that could mean. And in the video or in the photo that they took, I kind of dissected that a little bit on my channel and posted it as well on the community page. If you look in the back, there's multiple green candles. There's a picture of a couple ships in battle, and there's also a bull at the bottom. And what was the other thing? Oh, there was a little ornament that looked like an angel, so a god-like figure. So basically, I interpreted that as, we fought the battle and we won, and now we're going to see multiple green god candles. And that's exactly what we've seen. So.
Well, I've just brought Safa into the call. If anybody else wants to call in, we've opened it up now. You can talk directly to Rod, myself. All of you can ask questions. It's martynlucas.com/live. Password is LucasAids, uppercase L, uppercase A. If you just tuned in, Rod from Powell Group is one of our sponsors. He pays $99 a month to be a member of the channel. We promote him, sponsor him, and he's our star guest on the show today. If you're all wondering was our main technical analysis guy, Sensei, he's on holiday at the moment. So Rod's going like a full-on entrepreneur. I can capitalize on this. Well, Sensei's sitting on holiday on the beach. I'm going to call in, take over the show, which is basically what he's doing right now. Sensei won't mind me saying that. He'll be laughing at me going, "You cheeky bugger, I can't believe you said that." But I just did. See, what are you going to do about it? Right, so anyway, that's very interesting. I think you've touched on now you're getting on to what really is important. Where I live, relationships. Technology has been done, right? Now, who's behind the scenes to put the one in front of everybody, the one they're going to use? Now, we all think that will be XRP, right? But remember, it's not always the first. We've seen many great technologies get destroyed and taken over. We had Betamax, which was way better than VHS. VHS got the money, got the deal, and Betamax died. We've seen that happen. Now we've got digital audio, which was nowhere near as good as the audio quality that was on a record but it was cheaper, better, more. We can send it around, share it. Records are big and heavy and cumbersome and all the rest of it. So it's not always the best technology that wins. It's who gets the backing at the right time. And you're absolutely right. We've all seen Brad stood shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump at the time. He's about to take office, and we know he's very pro all of this. So. What I'm going to let you focus on the chart. Sensei the same thing, and I'm going to be focusing trying to get the conversations with the people that make the decision. That's my job, and I mean you'll do it as well. I get, but that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Sappho, where are you calling in from?
You mean the place?
Yes.
Yeah, from the same hotel that the first time I called in.
I can remember, but I can't remember. Just tell the audience where you're from.
Oh yeah, I'm from actually Dubai, but I moved up to the capital city just because of the tourism in Dubai is a lot, and I really hate being in a crowded places such as driving on the road and it just stresses me out. Could any second could be any accident. You know what I mean?
Oh dear. Well, it's lovely to have you here.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in, mate.
It has been a long time. I actually didn't call in.
No, not at all. It's lovely to have you back. The phone line's open. Anybody else can call in. We're watching XRP. Just going sideways. A little drop at the moment ago, but it's just going sideways now. Are you in XRP? Are you an investor in the asset?
Not really. But I had a question. I forgot his name. What's his name?
It's Rod from Power Group.
Rod, yeah. So, since you said I heard you said that once XRP reaches up to $4, you're just gonna sell and take the profits. I'm just curious, at what price you have actually bought it?
42 cents USD. I also meant at $4, that would be my first level take profit, which would just be my initial investment. So I would only be taking at that point probably 5% of my investment off the table, just to be clear on that.
I do believe that that's a smart decision that you're actually taking, because you bought it really low. Okay, I'm not sure how much volume you have on your shares, but I'm pretty sure once it hits $4, you're gonna take your profit. It's actually gonna go down below maybe to 3.5, 3.4, because any new high, people sells off. Even SMC, when it reaches to $36 or to $40, since people is actually doing shorting the stock.
Let's be absolutely clear. It's not going to go down because Rod sells his position unless he's got billions. I don't know how much he's got. Let's be absolutely clear. It's very important to say, because people come in this show, watch for 10 seconds, come back 10 minutes later, and I noticed that's why Rod was very straight on. He was very quick to comment about how he was selling, not all, because people listen for 1 minute, they hear a bit, they come, they go. Yeah, this conversation now, I've been live since 6 o'clock this morning. We're now 6.5 hours in. Unless you've heard the entire conversation, you're just getting bits out of context. So it's very, very important to, if you're gonna make a financial decision, first of all, you shouldn't be doing that based on what we're saying here today. At least hear the whole conversation, not just part of it. So just be careful of that. I'm not saying that you're saying that, Safa. I'm saying it because people are listening and they're coming in, and it's my job, self-imposed my job, to make sure everybody's understanding what's going on and not, oh my God, did he just say that? I'm going to sell all my shares. And of course, this isn't shares, this is tokens, but I just want to make clear everyone knows what's going on. Please carry on. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. So what I was actually saying that it's a smart decision that he's doing, because you never expect the market. For example, what I had in Cooler, I bought at 1.7. Okay, it reached to 5.5, but I never sold. I made 170%. I know Martyn said, don't be greedy, because if you do feel greedy of taking more profits, it's just gonna the opportunity is gonna fade away, and it actually did. It's not going up to it's not living up to the expectation. It's not going higher when it's expected. For example, if it reaches 2.6, it's too high. Then it drops down to 2.2. So unless there's a really major news for the company and it's behaving well, I believe it's gonna go to $7. And I'm not gonna sell right now, because I'm not emotional investor. I hold until I get the opportunity back. I get really good profit, I just sell.
I think Rod's very brave to be at 44 cents and at 333, 335 right now, he's still holding. I take my hat off to him. I couldn't do it. If I can earn 35 years of the S&P in the last few weeks and I'm still sitting on it, no, not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
In fact, this is one of the reasons why I'm not in XR in crypto, because I'm an investor and I can buy and hold and never sell anything. And I like that feeling, because when it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it's great, but it's nothing, is it, until you sell it? Remember that. And also there's capital gains tax. And what's really important, and I want this before I come back to you, Rod, I want this in the show to be on record right now. What I'm hearing from Rod, I'm sure Rod's got positions and multiple positions after that, as he's already alluded to. But you didn't mention that, Safa, and this is really important for everyone listening right now. I never buy or trade anything, and I do have my trades. I have my Roth IRA, of course, as you know, with Coca-Cola. I don't do anything in my investments or my business or anything without 5, 10, 20 moves ahead. So there's no point going, well, I'm up now, I'm going to sell it, if you don't know what you're then going to do with your money. Because if you end up going to go, I'm going to sit around for 5 minutes, and now everyone's telling me XRP is going to go up again as it's gone up another couple of percent, and now I'm going to jump back in again. Well, you just lost. I mean, that's crazy. What did you ended up paying tax on a gain, and then it's gone up 2%, and now you're going to buy a higher price, and you get emotional, right? If you're going to sell, what are you going to do with the profit? What are you going to do with the money? You got to pay tax with first of all, so you got put aside the tax element. What am I going to do next? And if you don't know what you're going to do next, don't sell. Don't do anything. You shouldn't. Just because you can trade doesn't mean you should trade. And the only winners every single time is the brokerage. They make money every time you trade in micro profits all the time. It's like the casino. The casino always wins. I like to feel I own the casino. I never play it. Be an owner, not a player. Back to you, Rod.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I do own multiple tokens. I've shared my portfolio publicly before, my largest holding, the smallest holding. So I do have, I can't remember now, probably about a dozen crypto holdings, but XRP is about 70% of my entire portfolio. And then XLM, HBAR would be my next biggest. So, you have to think too, right? I have more invested than just XRP. So if XRP goes to $4, what is all these other cryptos going to be at that point as well? So, I've got, my MJ portfolio. I have some other miscellaneous stocks. I have my real estate portfolio. I've still got a pretty large cash position. I have a retirement account with some mutual funds in a kind of.
He's basically rich, Safa. He's basically richer than everybody else here combined. I love it. He's richer than me.
Well, actually, I wanted to give him an advice. But don't really take it for granted. I'm just gonna say, I'm not telling you to take an initiative on your tokens. Let's say this, okay? You've been in XRP for a long time, and I know you're gonna make a huge boatload of money, okay? Since Martyn said since it's a speculative stock, it could go sideways. What is best, if it was me and I had really high number of tokens, if the profit is too high, okay, where I could do another business deal or buy a different crypto, put more in S&P as Martyn is doing. People are gonna sell, since it's a speculative stock. People are gonna sell, and with the right moment, if it reaches $4, it's absolutely gonna go back to $3 or below than that. And that's actually a good price to get him back, and then it's going to go pump higher.
Well, we don't know all that. And remember...
Well, I know that.
No, you do. We don't know that. But remember, the S&P also sells off. And any asset sells off. The difference between a sell-off at XRP and the S&P is the companies within the index maybe... Not exclusively, but maybe still performing well, earnings well, good margins, making profit, still good businesses, but yet the stock price, which is not the business, is it? The value of the business is not we talk about market caps, but really the market cap isn't the value of the business, is it really? If the business is still doing well, things can sell off just because people take profits, recorrect. Donald Trump says the war's going to break out again in Israel, and everyone goes, "Oh my God!" These aren't business decisions. These aren't business interruptions. These are macro external conditions, but the underlying business is still there. Whereas with XRP, it's not a business. Ripple is. Brad Gardinghouse's business is, and the business done with the banks, and that's a business. Whereas this is and I don't like using this, but it's not the best way to explain it, but it is a popularity contest at the moment. This is not trading the dollar, buying the dollar with the USD, the pound, the euro. This is not that. Do not think this is Forex. This is not a foreign exchange. A crypto market isn't a foreign exchange because that's based upon something, even though people would say it isn't anymore. It used to be based upon the amount of gold that was held, and that doesn't exist anymore. We all get that. But it's not the same. And I think some people think, buying and selling XRP is like buying and selling the US dollar. It isn't. You've got to be careful of that. There's an underlying value and power to that. But anyway, who wants to come back with it?
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, Martin, because if we're going to be using XRP for payments, like micropayments, it's essentially being used as a fiat currency, right? As a type of medium of exchange. So if you're going to be using it for payments, and that is the one of the killer use cases, well, wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to tax it. And they're already saying that they're potentially going to have no capital gains tax in the U.S. So I'm definitely not going to be holding off for, I wish Canada would do that, eliminate the cap gains tax as well. But I'll be taking my profits this cycle. I don't care if I have to pay tax. And then next cycle,
where have you heard this about the capital gains taken away for?
Trump's
is that all crypto or XRP?
No, just the U.S. assets that are minted in the U.S. that are based in the U.S. So Ripple's actually headquartered in San Francisco, California, Silicon Valley. So they're
the US-based crypto.
Yeah. So HBAR, XLM, XRP, Cardano, and I think there might be like one or two other ones.
Is that a fact, or is that being discussed now?
It's being discussed. It's not, and he has said it. There's been multiple reports from Trump's administration.
Doesn't that scare you a little bit? Think about that. An asset you can buy and sell without any capital gains tax. That throws IRAs, Roths, traditionals, the tax system into absolute pandemonia, because you can buy an asset, pump it up, sell it, and pay no tax on it at all. Can you imagine what that would do for the tax system?
It's kind of like, but if I'm going to give you, let's say I go to buy a mug on your channel, and I'm going to buy it with $10 US dollars, right? And the value of the dollar went up from the last time someone gave, what I mean? Like, how am I going to get taxed on that dollar because the value of the dollar went up? It's kind of the same argument, right? Why am I going to get taxed on my XRP when I'm just using it as a medium of exchange, as a currency? So it's definitely a difficult way to predict that one, because I see your argument.
But a mug
my side of it.
Mug isn't a capital asset, though, is it?
No, but the exchange, right? I'm giving you 10, whatever it is, 5 XRP for this mug, right? Mm-hmm. It's an exchange. It's a monetary value. So I don't see how it'd be any different. Or if you're, doing micropayments or something like that, where, you're able to, like one use case of XRP, there was a tip bot on Twitter or so on X where you could tip, 20 cents, 50 cents, 10 cents. Are you going to get charged a capital gains on that as well? So I see the argument of both sides, but it's definitely going to be difficult no matter how you spin it. But either way, it's going to be.
There's a difference between income tax, though, and capital gains tax, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to mention as well, we talked about what we're going to do with the profits from XRP. So something you mentioned, Martin, is investing in Ripple. So I'm actually to do it than it is in the US. And once I become accredited, hopefully before Ripple IPOs, I'm going to be taking a lot of that capital and rotating it into Ripple private equity. And like I said, my goal is to do that before it goes public. And benefit from the IPO. Generally, that's when, the real gains are made.
You're doing rather well, aren't you, Rod? I like this. Congratulations,
It's okay.
mate.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you.
Well done. Very good to you. Yeah, that sounds a good investment to me. That's something I can get behind. I like the idea of that. Yeah. When do you think we get an IPO for Ripple?
Well, we had the CEO of SBI Bank in Japan saying that he recommended Ripple do it ASAP as soon as the case is over with the SEC. So if we have a new administration coming in and a potential case resolution over the next month or two, it could be probably in the back half of 2025. You'd still have to get everything filed with the SEC and approved. So I would say probably late 2025 would make a lot of sense.
I've got a funny feeling that'll be a very popular IPO. What do you reckon?
Probably the highest valued IPO ever, I would think.
Ooh. Do you think everybody would dump their XRP to buy Ripple, though?
I don't think so. No. Depends how much it runs in anticipation of that. But yeah, I think XRP will run crazily, and it might even be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing where it runs into that announcement of an IPO. And then when we get the IPO announcement, it'll probably sell off, and then as the IPO happens, we'll start to see a recovery.
You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing, getting in pre, if you like.
Yeah.
So just in case anyone's wondering what we mean by this, an IPO, initial public offering, is the moment it's released on the public exchanges, on the New York Stock Exchange, for example, or the NASDAQ, or wherever it might be, and it appears and you can trade it. Then the pre-IPO is when your brokerage allows you to buy at a preset price. It depends whether you're allocated or not, and you can get in, but you try to get in. We've seen that Robinhood do it all the time. You get a pre-allocation, pre-IPO, so that's be bought before, and then you get pre. It's very similar to what I bought, the gold mine. Everyone knew about that, right? When you got a private company and you're able to access that and buy it before, and then you can get all sorts of incentives and benefits. You can get discounts when it IPOs and yada yada yada.
Exactly.
And that's how the real money is made. And if you can get in on that level, then a lot of people are going to be thinking, how's Rod doing that? Can you just tell us, walk through how, if they're able to, and you have to have certain criteria, but tell people how they could do that if they wanted to do that.
How to get private equity in Ripple before the IPO?
What you've had to do, because there's going to be people going, I want to do that.
I haven't done it yet. I've signed up for the Link2 platform, and I'm not sponsored or anything by them, but essentially you can sign up for Link2, and then when Ripple shares become available on the platform, there's usually a minimum buy-in. It's usually, I think, around $10,000. Sometimes they have promotions as well where you can buy in for like $5,000 or a couple thousand, and then they also give you like a reward, like X amount of XRP just for funding your account. So that's an option as well. But again, you're going to have to go through your accreditation, the accreditation check. So you'll have to go through the process with Link2 and get verified as an accredited investor. And again, it'll be different for each jurisdiction. In Canada, it's one of the strictest policies, which, like I said, kind of rewards the rich, right? The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So it's a way to keep us out.
That's how it works.
Eventually, though, I think they could either do away with it completely, or they might make it easier to be accredited where, you can just do like a test. We're already seeing that in some areas as well, certain regions, but, I think it might be something that'll come to, I think there's a good chance it'll come to the US and Canada where, you can just do a pretty lengthy test and pass it and then be accredited.
This is very similar to SpaceX. There are investors in SpaceX now. It's not on the stock market. You can't trade it but it is. There are private investors, and that's what this is before it goes public. So yeah, very, very good. I like the idea of that. I think that sounds really, really good. All right. Well, I've got to make a decision now, because let me just bring back to the party channel a minute where everybody's on, because we've been going now since 6:00 this morning. I don't mind telling you, I want to go down something to eat. I mean, 6.5 hours is a good show. It's a good stream.
I haven't eaten yet either.
Martyn.
I'm also going to be doing a giveaway on my channel in 20 minutes. Do a quick plug there if anybody that's interested. If you want to check it out in about 19 minutes.
What are you giving away, mate? What are you giving away?
I'm going to be giving away some XRP and a membership.
Sounds very nice indeed. A free giveaway of XRP. I wonder if I'm able to do this now you're a sponsor. Let me have a look.
I'll send you the link to that video if you want to.
Wait a minute. I should be able to see. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this. All right.
I sent it to you on X there. I also sent a video. I'm not sure if you have seen it or not, but the Why I Hold XRP video from Not Financial Advice. Have you seen that before?
I haven't, but I will. Now, you've sent it to me on X, right? I've got, there's the messages popping up. Right.
That's like a 2-minute video, and it's an absolute banger. Probably the best XRP video ever created.
I love it. I will watch it. I will do
credit
a
for that.
I will do a reaction on it. Tell you what I'm going to do. I've got Pal's group, Pal's channel up here right now. Have you got your live upcoming live stream? Yes, you have.
There I just posted it into you as well.
Right. Okay, I see it. I've got it. I tell you what I'm going to do. I don't think anyone else is going to call in right now. I've got people. I would imagine I've got people screaming at me, going, "You've got 700 people watching you live, and you want to end? Are you mental? You're earning every 8 minutes. I earn 1 cent per person. That's the ad revenue I get. That's my CPM. All right." It's about 1 cent per person every sort of 8 minutes. So, I'm earning money here. Why am I going to stop? What an idiot. But I'm going to stop because Rod's going to go live in a minute, so you can all tune into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it this way, all right? Because I really, really want everyone to tune in. I'm going to help Rod out here. I'm going to be nice.
Could I interrupt you?
Yes, please do.
Oh yeah, I actually sent you a link through Discord. Could you just give me a quick review on the news heading on SMCI? There was a recent news about a firm closing up.
If you sent me a link to SMCI in Discord, I will mention it in the closing bell show this afternoon.
Okay.
Okay, I've got to get off now. I've been going 3/4 hours. I've got to eat something. I've got to, I mean, I already go 12 hours a day. It's getting a bit mental, all this. All right. So I'm an old man. I've got to go and lie down. Mind you, I'm older than everybody else, but I work harder than everybody else. All right. Just put that, just saying that. All right. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to end the stream. Thank you for calling in, by the way. I will look at SMCI. Send me the link and I'll do it later. Okay. That's a promise. You've called in. So
I've sent it already.
You've sent it already. Great. I will do that. So what I want to do is before we send everyone to Rod's show, good timing, Rod. You've really done this well. I'm proud of you, mate. You've done this well today. Done very well.
Thank you.
What we're going to... I really enjoyed the conversation as well. It's been absolutely great. What we're going to do is tomorrow night on my music channel, we're going to bring XRP. This is not the thumbnail. I'm going to change it. We're going to bring XRP to the music world, right? So we've got the banking world now, Bank of America. We did that, and now we've got the music world. So we're going to really have some fun. This is the link. I think it's in the chat right now. It's posted to the top. Okay, there it is. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end my stream right now. Okay. Let me do it for you. Hang on, back to the party channel. I'm going to end my stream. It's going to automatically go to the party show for tomorrow night. Okay, but I'm going to be in there, and I want everyone to come in automatically. And then once you've all clicked like and all that, so you're ready for the show tomorrow night, I'm going to give you the link to Rod's show and tell you all to go and watch Rod's show. And he's going to start in about 10 minutes, all right? So I'm going to let you two go because Rod's got to get himself sorted out. So, guys, thank you for calling in. Safa, final words to the world before I let you go?
To whom?
The whole world. Whatever you want to say. Final words.
Well, yeah, thanks for everyone hanging out in the stream and watching the Martyn and having conversation with Rod. And,
absolutely.
It's pretty great.
Brilliant. Rod, final words and why after they've gone to the music just to click like and click the bell for tomorrow night, why should they then click on the link that I'm going to put in the chat to send them to you? Why should they do that, Rod?
Well, it's been a long 7 years. And XRP holders finally being rewarded. So if you like MJ stocks, if you like crypto, XRP specifically, that's that's the best place to go to get it. So I cover them pretty much daily. I have a new video daily.
It's the second best place to go.
Next to
it's
you.
the second
Okay,
best place.
there we go.
There we go. Right. You
I
can't come
post
on the show
new
and say it's
videos
the
every
best
day.
I love it. Brilliant. Thank you, Rod, Safa. You guys have been fantastic. You're going to have a really great show today, Rod. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll tune in myself and I'll annoy everybody. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much indeed. You guys have been great. There you go. So just before then you jump into our guest show, what we're going to do now, let me just end the call there. Got to end the calls. We've got all the calls coming in. I've got to click this, and now I can end and click this. There we go. Right. So what we're going to do now, stand by. I want everyone to be part of this big event tomorrow night. So there you go. That's there. The moment I finish, it'll automatically take you into the party channel for tomorrow night. I want everyone to click share, click like. Then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to give the link to Rod's show. And then you go and watch Rod's show. Have a great afternoon. That's it from me. Join me now right here. Just come and jump in. Just to click like, just to click whatever you want. And then I'll send you to Rod. Have a wonderful afternoon. I'll see you back for the closing bell show after Rod's show. That's it from me. It's been a great day. Been very exciting. My final thoughts will come up in the closing bell for this afternoon. Bye-bye for now. Take care of yourselves and each other.